Oh, geez. Oh boy. Here we go. As I'm waiting for the bodies to roll in, I am waiting for things to dial down in the news so I can cover the black problem where Joel Webbin talked to Calvin Robinson about the black problem, okay? And about race mixing, so to speak. I'm still waiting to talk about that, fellas. Oh, it's a fun one.
If you watched our first episode, then you know what we're about to talk about. I'm going to give it to you, Calvin, to lead us off.
Well, we discussed the issue of the Mohammedans, of the Jews, but I want to know, what is America going to do about the blacks? The black problem.
The age-old question.
Right.
Right.
Because I came to this country, I thought, there's a united American people, but quite quickly it became clear there's not.
Yes.
There's an issue here of two cultures living in one land. And it seems to me that most Americans don't dislike African Americans. I think most Americans, this came to me a while ago, that most Americans see African Americans the way that Brits see Americans. Like
the mixed black English perspective on the United States is very interesting. And he rubs salt in the wound. Calvin Robinson actually says that people in the UK view Americans like how Americans view black Americans. Okay? He really goes for it. And it's a very interesting conversation. But I'm still waiting to get to this until things are more boring, dialed down. May or may not do it in Ardy and Fist. May do it solo. I kind of want to do it on Ardy and Fist because Fist also in the UK can add some context behind the claims being made by this African. Fellas, I already have the thumbnail in mind, okay? Now, you'll notice the color of his skin barely changes, okay? I've already got it planned out. We just got to wait to get there. But that's not why I brought you here today. I brought you here today, and we're just going to slowly move into this as the bodies roll in. Of course, I had a comment that said, are you going to wipe the cum off your mouth to react to Andrew defending child rapists, or are you going to continue to be a good goy cuck? Now, I understand Andrew's position where it's, what have you done for me lately? Everything else you said goes out the window when you create content in this small little area I've carved out. Everything goes out the window if you don't mooseberg enough. And I really feel like the orthos don't have to mooseberg because they understand the 2,000-year history of this issue, okay? They tend to be more pro-natalist in their messaging and not just talking about the moose. That's what I've noticed thus far. Now, it is Wilson hunting season, as will happen. We have Ian Malcolm over here, very anti-moo. Even if we go into his profile, we get a whole thread of the classic statistics, okay? And that's good, right? Not everyone has to do what you do. We realize these things are true, okay? Not everyone has to do it the way that you do it. Ardy and Fist are in a position to be able to do it. We're underlings, okay? We're not really like in the mass media. So we get to do things that other larger creators might watch and go, oh, that's great. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. It's happened. I've been contacted. I've been told that. Not everyone has to do it. It's a diversity of tactics, fellas, okay? So, known as the premier blood sport debater, he says, and yet he gets instantly triggered and resorts to ad hominem attacks. So I like how he's resorting to ad hominem attacks. And this isn't even new. This is like how the left attacks Andrew Wilson, where he called her a ditch licker. I believe I covered this in a video. And it's like, well, what would you do if someone's talking about your, like, this this position of, if you're going to argue for Christian nationalism, Andrew, have a little more class and composure, clown. Same thing the left does, where, I thought you were a Christian. This dude, of course, conducts himself however he wants to conduct himself. Doesn't really have a bar for his morality of how to handle things. Someone says, why are you attacking Andrew? He's the number one voice against Christian Zionism. Now, Andrew Wilson positions his JQ as anti-Christian Zionism, fervently anti-Christian Zionist, because he's trying to steer people toward Christianity. He's not just having an anti-identity. He also has a pro-identity for Orthodox Christianity. This guy doesn't play red team, blue team dynamics. He calls out anyone and everyone on missteps in hopes they either learn from their errors or simply move out of the way. And I also love these guys that just have a presence on X. They see numbers on X and go, "Ha, I'm pretty hot shit because of my X numbers," as opposed to having to try and go on YouTube and have a more organic audience. And he doesn't do live streams; he'll do X spaces and whatnot. That just you would think you would want your advocacy to stay there, right? But he does an X space where it just fades away in 30 days. So why is this resurfacing lately? What did he do to piss everyone off again? I have nothing against him. I love this. I have nothing against him. He uses the same cheap tactics that the left does to try and antagonize him. I got nothing against him. But the hubris, where even in his most recent discussions, he often pats himself on the back, proclaiming all these titles and applauding his performances. It's effeminate. Hopefully he shakes it off and learns reasonable humility. Oh, the moralizing. I'd love to know where this guy gets his morals from. Arden Party makes a very good point. Please do like and share the stream. And remember, Ardy can't read and is not my kid. Very important to remind people of that. They get us confused. Her argument was ad hominem. How are you this slow? She went to note the hypocrisy in his worldview. What is the hypocrisy? What is this version of Christianity that allows for zero redemption? This always confuses me. So I love this question. Where do you get your morals from, atheist Ardy? Well, it's my preferences. And here's my twist. My preferences just so happen to line up with a lot of Christian morals. Isn't that a tricky one? I think that's a tricky one. Usually when you hear my preferences argument, you get secular humanist arguments, but it technically is my preferences. Just so happens it aligns with Christians. They seem to have built a modern world. They civilize society really well. And the version of Christianity that we've been using has more of an effeminate Christianity and not the muscular Christianity we see from anti-moo Christian sects. Mainly the Orthodox Christians I've been seeing, I've been noticing. Well, this is funny, actually. So, Harden Party says, that's because you, like me, are a cultural Christian. In fact, no. I have gone on record and said, I am not a cultural Christian. I said this, I think, in March of 2025.
Let's shift the tone for a second. Now it's time for Andrew Wilson's response, which is my entire reason for making this video. If you want to know how I feel about Andrew Wilson, I stated it clearly in this video from 7 months ago. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist liberal that's a cultural Christian. I would say that I would say I'm an atheist liberal that's an Andrew Wilson Christian nationalist.
I said that in March of 2025, okay? I like how, what has pushed me away from Christianity is it looked very weak. And it seems like it gets in the way of fighting the lefties. Andrew Wilson has been fighting the lefties, and he'll catch heat from Christians by saying, you say the no words, you're not being a real Christian, and then have his own morals used against him by the left and go, aha, it's the same argument. But I mean, how else do you start a life with a woman, and it seems to be working, by the way, that has children from a previous marriage, and he somehow seemed to make it work? To me, that's Christian redemption. Here's the thing. On one hand, we all admit that we've gotten very goy-slopped, and a lot of people are coming to these conclusions later on in life after they've sinned very much. And what is this version of Christianity that everyone's beyond redemption? I don't understand that. As an atheist, I don't understand it. It's pushed me toward atheism. What brings me toward Christianity is people like Andrew Wilson, who did quite a rhetorically defective job in this debate, okay? Wow. He didn't take an easy position, okay? Boy, oh boy, there's some things he said that not even his boys could sign off on. Definitely. So yeah, exactly. Someone in the chat says, I'm goyed out, bro. Recovering, though. Nope. You are irredeemable. If you're a woman, by the way. As a guy, you can, throw your dick around as much as you want. But if you're a lady, you're irredeemable. Now, he's not prescribing that people go and find a woman with 2 different kids or children from 2 different marriages. No. But it just so happened to work out for him. That really connects with me because I don't prescribe that anyone be an atheist. And I support Christians. We both have very unique epistemologies that we don't necessarily prescribe to anybody. But yeah, I mean, it's Wilson hunting season, and I understand that. He took a difficult position. He took a pretty indefensible position, which is why I liked watching the debate. Because if someone's going to try their hardest to sweep for the Trump administration, I'd like it to be Andrew Wilson. And as we'll discover, we'll put it in the proper context. I'll be criticizing Andrew Wilson. Don't worry, it's not a full sweep job. But what you have to realize is you're used to seeing Andrew Wilson debate with leftists, okay? This is 2 men that like each other, that are on the same team, that are having a debate. This is more of a friendly debate. And an exchange, a battle of ideas of one seems a little more accelerationist, and one seems to be more, well, it's what else? What are we going to start voting for Democrats? Like, what other options do we have? Difficult spot to be in, definitely. Andrew Wilson does some stretching to try to sweep, or not even sweep, but to contextualize his position for the Trump administration. To not go too overboard, especially when we have like Nick Fuentes saying he'll vote for Democrats, and I get it. It's a hairy situation that we're in, all right? But also, I did make a video about the Proud Boys, and I included
people few hours storms more and worse for violent rhetoric and spreading baseless claims of election
Owen
fraud to
Shroyer.
hundreds of thousands of
I like both of these guys.
viewers.
But let's just go back to the judge's comments at sentencing where he says, I'm not merely just a trespasser. Well,
This is from October of 2023, okay? I'm familiar with both of these guys for years now, and I've advocated for the J6ers. I just had a J6er that was incarcerated for a while, for 3 years. I try to use my platform to speak, to talk about these things, right? I don't have to do that. I do feel a certain way about these things. They're unjust, right? So I like to see 2 people that I like that are on the same side not pull any punches when debating each other. They don't have any ill will toward each other. So I didn't take it too seriously. Now, of course, there's going to be some clips going around, and rightfully so, of what Andrew Wilson says. Rightfully so. But yeah, let me just try to contextualize this for you. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm telling you why I feel the way that I feel about it. So when I originally watched this, I didn't see any issues. When Andrew Wilson laid down the line of, so instead of bombing them, keep them alive and get raped. That, I understand why you wouldn't like Andrew Wilson for saying that, okay? Oh, I get it. But you're talking to someone whose name is rhetorically defective. So when somebody does something like that I hold in a decent esteem, who out rhetorically defectives me, something in me goes, wow, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that. But let's try to contextualize this before. I honestly, I need to start this now because I know I'm going to get 1 guide, 2 guide, 3 guide, 4 guide. Let me just try and carve out this position. We'll take it from the beginning.
First and foremost, thanks all of you for being here. And before we do anything else, we got the legend Owen Shroyer. Can we give him a good round of applause?
How long do you think modern day debates is going to have to be around for before they lock down their audio and video? Anybody? Anybody been watching modern day debates for 3-4 years now? And there's been very little improvement. There's been some improvement. It was really rough when they got started. There is some shoddy camera work on Andrew Wilson in the beginning of this. I feel like I'm going to call Owen Shroyer Owen Wilson by accident. If I do that, let me know. Please badger me.
That said, you're still going to get stomped. So, first.
People don't like this. That having been said, you're still going to get stomped. Now, rhetorically, right? There is no objective rhetoric. Your rhetoric, not everybody wants to hear the same thing, right? This is why you see Hillary Clinton, Obama, Kamala Harris code switch for different audiences. So Andrew Wilson could have went a little bit softer, knowing that the people that typically agree with him aren't going to be agreeing with him, but he doesn't change his style at all whatsoever. He still is in the tone of debating and owning leftists, okay? I definitely, he deserves some backlash for engaging with this topic, especially talking about the PDF files, as if he has the same certainty of talking to a leftist. Now, when he's talking to a leftist, he has a lot of truth and information on his side, right? Here, we're really carving out more of a position that isn't already understood. So he is going to get some rightful backlash for that.
And foremost, let me clear up any misrepresentation when it comes to my views. I am anti-Zionist and anti-Christian Zionist especially. I have done many debates on the topic, and I've won them all. I'm also very anti-Islam and
anti-Christian Zionist, Christian Zionist especially, okay? We don't care about that. What have you done for me lately? You have to Mooseberg. You can't just say you're Christian Zionist. He's a pro-natalist before anything. And I've said previously in streams, you need to start with anti-communism, anti-Marxism. What he does is anti-feminism. And you bring people over from there. He's going for a very wide net.
Consider the ideology just as poisonous as the ideology of Zionism, especially Christian Zionism. I am not a war supporter in Iran, and I never have been.
I can feel it already happening. So I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth, okay? You have to realize from my vantage point, I'm seeing a lot of incorrect things being said because they're annoyed with Andrew Wilson, which I understand. But when did he defend PDF files? It's things like this where okay.
I say this at the beginning of the debate, so when bad faith trolls who are on foreign accounts try to influence American politics in the comments, claiming that I'm in some way a Zionist, pro-Israel, pro-Islam shill, you can shatter the lies by simply showing them the beginning of this debate, which they won't even watch, and you and I can laugh at their stupidity together. That said, I also don't believe Jews or Arabs are ontologically evil just because they are Jewish or Arabic. I represent a worldview, and I believe there are stupid and evil ideologies in this world, and those are the things I debate against and resist on a political level. Today, we debate if Trump has been successful as a president. Usually, I would clear this up semantically and quickly with Owen, but we seem to have the same general notion about what success means and doesn't mean, so we will just get right to the heart of the debate.
Yeah, so, Owen's position is that he's going to be grading it on his personal view of whether or not it's successful, which every single president in history will fail. You can, whether or not, no presidency is really successful, okay? So the best Andrew can do is go, well, what are our other options? Instead of viewing Trump in a vacuum without comparing him to what our alternative is, I think a more honest barometer is, well, what would we have instead of Trump?
I'd like to begin by pointing out that Trump stopping two different left-wing women from becoming president and being the first president who's a woman should immediately default him to the position of a successful president. As just that alone saved the nation from years of torment and suffering from the most insufferable vocal fried women the world has ever seen. That alone, I feel like wins me the debate.
So, right. So Andrew is solid most of the time. Okay. Most of the time, he's defending a position you already agree with. Andrew is defending a position I don't really agree with. I mean, we've been bashing Trump on Ardy and Fist for, over a month now. It's really hard to defend Trump. So I want to see Andrew defend Trump. It's a debate. This is the only time I'm going to say this. This is when I wish people were a little more like people in the UK with how they understand debates, right? He's used to American debates that are just blood sports, dunking, because he's debating people that are bad faith interlocutors. When it's on the same side, now this is more of an actually interesting debate because it's not just having to go into like an epistemological argument. They're actually trying to do it without gloves on, by the way. They kind of go at each other.
But there's so much more. Starting on the pro-Christian side, Office of Faith, though I don't like who's in it, I like there's an office for it. Affirm via executive order there are two genders and revoke the idea of gender being different from sex. He signed an executive order stopping trans surgical chemical alterations of children. He made Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas.
Lesser of two evils debates are mooish. Well, what's the alternative? And this is the issue that Andrew Wilson often comes into with this criticism. What's the alternative? And there's not going to be a good answer. I mean, the reality is the lesser of two evils. We don't agree with that. We've been very moo infiltrated for a century now, at least. So you can call it mooish, but there is no alternative. I need your criticisms to come with some sort of alternative. Otherwise, this is the reason why it's being debated on these grounds. I hope you understand that.
Federal holidays affirming Christian beliefs as the ones we celebrate. He signed an executive order to eradicate anti-Christian bias in the government. He expanded school choice via executive order so we could remove our children from indoctrination center of atheists. He signed an executive order expanding Christian participation in adoption. He reinstated the Mexico City policy blocking U.S. tax dollars from promoting abortions in other nations. He enforced the Hyde Amendment to stop federal funding of abortions. He strengthened the conscientious protection for doctors and nurses who are against abortion. He supported religious charter schools. He directed the State Department to prioritize against Christian persecution abroad, just to name some of his policy directives. And that's just the Christian side. Domestically, his most major victory is something incredible. Net migration negative, more immigrants leaving than coming. Both legal and illegal, which was his primary function in office from the standpoint of voters. And this is one of the few Western nations where that is the case currently with limited exceptions. The Cato Institute, very pro-immigration, had to admit themselves that Trump has limited legal immigration even more than illegal immigration, negating the base fear from his own base that he would stop illegal immigration, ramp up legal.
And what would the barometer of success be, right? It's never going to be enough. You could always have your barometer of success be deporting all of them. But then Andrew's point is going to be that, well, who would have done this better? So, I mean, this is as good, it seems like, with the available options that it could have gone thus far.
Immigration. He hasn't. Over 130,000 less per month just on the legal side. Real wage growth is up 1.3%.
This is excellent. I agree with this. Wilson also uses dirty tactics in this debate. He might have won, but he isn't correct. He is defending a position that most of us view as incorrect, which is good. A debate is about persuasion and rhetoric. You know that there's people that debate a topic that they don't even necessarily fully agree with, right? So this is what I'm saying about this is more of an actual debate than what you typically see with him dunking on leftists. He's taking a difficult position to defend, but I understand what you're saying. I don't know how dirty his tactics were. Some of them weren't very good. I wouldn't even dirty. I don't know if they're. We'll see. Possibly.
Under Trump, it was negative under Biden. The federal workforce down 10%, which is excellent. Crime is down across the nation. Even Owen agrees with that. The Overton window has shifted right on most national conversations, including LGBTQ and transgender ideology. This isn't even getting into the historic court cases like Roe v. Wade and Chevron, which undid huge injustices in the United States. These are just some of Trump's accomplishments among many. I just can't list them all due to time.
He deep throats Orange Man in this one. How could he, if he's debating for Trump, he needs to be in support of Trump when he's debating that side. So is there a way for him to defend Trump without deep throating him? Where do you say to deep throat him? Like, this is his position in the debate.
The idea of Owen Shroyer and many other anti-Trump right-wingers is accelerationism. The glaring logical hole, of course, in that is all that happens is Democrats get power, make life worse for everybody, and then they just...
Oh, this I definitely agree with. Some of the immigration and PDF arguments were not good. That's being polite with some of the things that he said. I definitely understand that.
Just run back to Republicans to fix everything the Democrats did, and the entire time is spent by Republicans cleaning up the mess that Democrats and leftists left for us. It doesn't work and can't work in a two-party system. Ensuring Democrat control by denouncing Trump and Republicans just assures a packed Supreme Court, outrageous censorship, mass migration, expansion of gay agenda, feminism, and the movement.
This is what I would love to be able to clear up. He glazes Trump so much in this debate and completely sold out. He is taking the pro-Trump position in this debate. And he is saying that it is better than the Democrats, is his main point. You can say that without completely glazing somebody, but he's going to be saying all of the positive things he can possibly find about Trump when this is his position in the debate. This is not... Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of an anti-Christian and anti-Christ-driven world. You guys seem to forget we had Biden. It was awful. And rather than continue his policies, people elected Trump en masse because life under Democrats is fucking awful. Now, you aren't going to get everything you want out of any administration. Trump is way too pro-feminist, pro-gay, and pro-Zionist for my personal liking, but we all knew that going in. He was still...
Trump is too pro-gay and too pro-Zionist for my liking, but we knew that going in will fall upon deaf ears of people that are saying the things that they're saying about Andrew Wilson. Does he need to like scream it and like be emotional about it or really like say it over and over again? He says these things along the way, which we already knew. Okay. So he's not completely, how are you deep throating Trump when you're saying he's too pro-woman, too pro-gay, and too pro-Zionist for him? Let's not forget that. So he's still debating pro-Trump because otherwise it's not a debate. And so he still is making those caveats in his opening statement.
Vastly superior to the alternative to Democrats and their cohorts, especially Harris, who wanted to roll back tax breaks
30 seconds.
And tax as an offset instead of tariffs, which is Democrat policy as usual. We knew Trump was pro-Israel. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem and tore up the Iran deal the first time around. We knew this was part of what we were getting when we elected him, including Owen Shroyer, who, by the way, was put in solitary confinement by Democrats and held, in my opinion, as a political prisoner. That's what's in store for us under Democrats.
Notice how this is starting off respectfully, much more than his other debates are, right?
I will cede no ground to Democrats under any circumstances, as there's no alternative. There's nothing. You cannot give Democrats power, period. And with that, I'll cede the rest of my time, but just note that progressive ideology is always waiting to strike, and going against Trump is not going to help against that fight.
So his epistemology, all right, where he's coming from is we cannot let the left get elected, okay? There's problems. He's pro-Zionist, don't agree with it. Pro-woman, don't agree with it. Pro-gay, don't agree with it, okay? It is so much better than the alternative of the left, which is where Andrew is coming from. Owen's going to be coming from a different place, okay? So they're going to be speaking from two different places.
Thank you very much for that opening. We'll kick it over to Owen for his opening as well.
Well, the premise of this debate is, has President Trump been successful or not? The premise is not, are the Democrats a bad political party? I think that we all agree with that. So that is not the premise of the debate. And I feel that the very fact that we are having this debate shows that there is at least room for consideration that the Trump...
You can debate about every president being successful or not in human history. I don't think is very strong.
Trump administration has not been successful. And while you do list off things that Trump has been successful on, and I will give credit to this administration on securing the border and lowering crime rates,
I would not say that Andrew won this debate in every aspect. I would not claim that. Winning the debate, I guess when I was listening to this, I wasn't thinking of who won the debate. I was more so actually interested in hearing an exchange of ideas, which is like typically what a debate is supposed to be.
Quickly on those issues, though, these are not things that we should have to beg for. These are not things that we should have to consider a success. These should be things that are considered a standard. So really, that's more of a story of how corrupt our country has become, which gets to what this administration was supposed to be all about. It was supposed to be addressing the corruption head on in that collision and destroying it in the process. And
no president in human history has addressed the corruption to anyone's liking.
And I think it's fair to say that at least to this point, it's not happening. But here's some of the other issues that I think are going to be more important when it comes to, is Trump going to be successful? The economy.
Okay. This is the thing, too. If Owen Shroyer destroyed anyone, if Owen Shroyer got destroyed in a debate, we would be making fun of the fact that he looks like a 90s villain. We would be, okay? He didn't get destroyed, But we would be if he got destroyed, I feel like.
The vast majority of Americans still believe the economy is heading in the wrong direction. We have more Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck today than any other time in recent history. And as everybody is well aware, our national debt continues to go to record highs. But it's not just the country that's in debt. The average citizen is in debt. It's so bad now that people are having to take out payment plans for pizza delivery. Now, you might not want to blame all of that on President Trump, and perhaps that's fair, but yet this is the economy ongoing under President Trump. And it doesn't help when anytime there's another war on the other side of the planet, we have billions of dollars to spend on that while the average American continues to struggle. So the economy.
What's going to be the most, when I was listening to this, the most difficult thing to defend is the war in Iran. That is really difficult to defend.
I don't think you can claim has been a success. Tied into that is Doge, the Doge cuts. Elon Musk believed we could get $1 trillion in Doge cuts annually. We got a couple 10 million and they stopped that. There's not going to be any Doge stimulus checks, whether you wanted that or not. So Doge getting cut out cold, I think, was a major failure. Barack Obama has deported more Americans than Donald Trump. Now, we might get into the details of that today. I will spare those details for the opening. I'm sure this will come back.
Now, this is an excellent point by King Solo Wings. Owen shows no proof of anything he says here in this part. Now, it's hard to, like, this is why I don't like debates about, like, Epstein stuff, because you would need to be pulling it up to contextualize what's being said. So it is difficult to, like, pull up evidence, right? But Andrew's point is that, you know, we what is it exactly? Like, you're trying to make Trump seem PDF friendly. You're trying to make him seem that way. And that's more so Andrew's issue, because that's also what the left does. And that plays into the hand of the left, which I believe is going to be Andrew's criticism.
Back up, but yet that fact remains. What about the deep state? President Trump himself has posted about treasonous politicians more times than we can count. So if there's politicians that are treasonous and you are the president, then I have to ask, where are the arrests? That's kind of the biggest crime you can commit in this country, and yet nobody has been arrested. Don't even get me started on the Epstein clients, which are apparently a hoax one day, and then the next day Melania Trump is addressing the nation on how the victims of the hoax need to speak to.
Yeah, and this is also a good point, where is Owen supposed to have a computer on stage with him? It's a difficult thing to talk about, so I can make concessions on both sides of that argument.
Congress. So I'm not sure where we want to go with that, but either way, no deep state arrests. Where are all the Epstein pedophile arrests? We're not getting those. These are things that people anticipated, and yet there's no success there either. And by the way, as you mentioned, Trump's victory over the liberal women, which I think we'll all agree was a major victory. He was not the president when that happened. He's never won an election as president. Just thought I'd point that out. As far as the office of faith is concerned, it seems to be going about the same way of the Board of Peace. Nothing but vanity, no real results. You talk about the anti-Christian bias that they're fighting, yet look at who Trump is working with now. He's making sure that Karine Jean Bowler kicked off of the Religious Liberties Commission for her political takes. Yet Laura Loomer, who is
we've covered a couple of these things on Ardy and Fist. So, I mean, this is what I'm saying, where I agree with Owen's position more than Andrew's position, right? I mean, if you watch the stream, so far we agree with more of the things that Owen is saying.
A vehement anti-Muslim, anti-Catholic psychotic somehow has the ear of President Trump. So I'm not sure if that's really working for the anti-Christian. You know, wage growth, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm sure we're going to get more into that. But I think it goes back to the general economic picture that whether it's Trump or anybody else, Americans are still struggling. And I think if we be honest here, if we're going to be honest, a lot of this economy is actually Trump's fault. And I know he likes to blame it on Biden, but if you go back and look at it, it was the COVID economy that caused the permanent damage. It was the COVID economy that resulted in
the COVID economy to be, I feel like COVID happened magically when Trump was president and magically went away when Biden became president and is still the most popular president in history. I don't know what you are supposed to do when an unexpected wave of COVID, a global pandemic hits. That's really tough for me to blame on Trump.
15 to 20% inflation. Those are Trump's policies. Now, Biden was obviously a disaster. I'm not here to promote anything Biden did, but that was the Trump economy. The COVID economy is the Trump economy. Now, as far as accelerationism is concerned, I don't believe I have ever publicly supported that. I do understand the concept. I understand why people like it. I'm not here because I want Democrats to win. And I think this is a very important statement for me to make, because much like in your opening statement, you wanted to clarify some things that people get wrong about you. I want to clarify this. I do not want Democrats to win, as has already been done.
See, this is a way more nuanced debate than you're used to seeing. Usually it's very black and white. Usually there's a clear position that's right and a clear position that's wrong. This is more so like I viewed it as more of a critical thinking exercise. Quagmire for $10. Thank you so much, my dude. I really wish you guys would understand that he's debating. This isn't what he personally pushes, guys. Parts of it are, but he's also trying to make a more compelling point, right? More so embellishing the points that he believes in. He's pushing against Zionism and never fucked up for years. Calm down. And he does mention this where it's like, with Trump, what have you done for us lately? Which can overshadow the things that people have liked about Trump. So I agree with that. So on the lich for 200 of something I refuse to remember, but you need. Drum apart from the airstrikes, tactical yoinking, the Venezuelan bus driver, and naval flexes, he's been dragging his feet with the moose. I mean, no one has even been allowed to talk about the moose until really like less than 2 years ago, it feels like. But true, he clearly doesn't want his name attached to another sand warlord affair. Thank you for that. Lenny Grad, $5. Owen had the stronger position, but he used the weakest arguments for it. I mean, he's not generally, I would say, that good of a debater. He's not familiar with like debating tactics per se. He's just willing to have conversations that he's passionate about, and I take that into account.
Documented in this debate. Democrats have put me in prison. In fact, I was put in jail 4 times for supporting President Trump, including the last one when I was put in solitary confinement. So believe me, I know how dangerous the Democrats are. The problem is, it's not up to me. This is Trump. If Trump cannot get the Republicans over the finish line in the midterms, that has nothing to do with podcasters. It has nothing to do with accelerationists, and it has everything to do with President Trump and the GOP. And ultimately, that's going to be the major measuring stick as to whether or not he's successful.
Yeah, I feel like during his first term, like a low approval rating was from the insane mainstream media constantly lying about him and attacking him. But I feel like his low approval rating this time is way more organic.
Thank you very much for that 5-minute opening as well. We'll jump into the 5-minute rebuttals. The timer is set for you, Andrew.
Yeah, so this is just straight time, right?
You said straight time?
Yeah, so 5 minutes each?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So let's go through a bunch of this stuff. Let's start with the economy. He seems to be pretty upset about the economy and says that it's all Trump's fault. In some ways, he's correct.
So right here, Andrew is debating like he's debating a leftist, right? Now, he doesn't have to use that same rhetorical flourishing if it's with a guy on your side. He's still in like wanting to win the debate mode. And this turns a lot of people off from Andrew Wilson in this debate because they already don't agree with him. And this will happen with Jay Dyer. This will happen with anybody when you agree with them 99%. This has happened with me with my videos, with my controversial video, where the same tone of voice that I use, if you don't agree with me, I'm real fucking annoying. And so you start to notice how he sounds to people when they disagree with him if you agree with him 99% of the time. Completely valid.
And in many ways, he's not correct. So progressives warned us of this, right? Progressives said, if you cut all this immigration, GDP go down. Why? Because they have an influx of cheap labor, right? You have cheap labor that comes in that artificially keeps the wages depressed for corporations. They can then sell you things and goods for cheaper.
Yep, so Andrew's going to be making the point that, like, well, when you remove a bunch of cheap labor, prices will, in fact, go up. So Owen would have to contend with that.
Pretty simple, right? So what does Trump do? Stops all this mass migration. Prices go up. I'm stunned. We were forewarned of this for years by the opposite side, by progressives. And so what's hilarious about this is that, yeah, it is in fact going to be the case that if American companies have to start paying fair wages to American citizens, prices are going to go up. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, Owen. You can't say, I want there to be no mass migration to the United States at all, and I want all my goods and services cheap. It's not going to work that way. How can it? Can you explain to the audience?
This is what it feels like. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I kind of showed this. The funniest thing in that is that every right-winger that attacked Andrew after this debate used the same attacks as the leftists. That's what it feels like. It's like, okay, so then what you know, oh, you call yourself a Christian, but you act like this. Now, the one that wasn't, and that a leftist would never care about, in the same way that the Christian right does, was his comment on bombing Iran. Okay? And I'm only laughing because I still can't believe he said it. It is probably one of the most rhetorically defective things I've ever heard, and I just didn't see it coming from him.
But the Owen Shroyer policy would be to offset that. No, you can't, because you wouldn't have one. You're going to have to eat shit on that. One way or the other, you're going to have to. The other problem is, he says there's a war on the other side of the planet. That's true. There is. It's been going on for about 7 weeks. That's about it. 7 weeks.
So not
That's
47
our big.
years.
Hang on, it's my rebuttal.
You should also know that like the way that he talks to Owen bothers other people more than it bothers Owen Shroyer. This is a friendly debate, but they just don't pull any punches.
All right, I won't interrupt yours, I promise. 7 weeks, not quite the forever war that we were promised from the other side. And it seems to be ramping down. Not only that, when it comes to that war, what we find is that most of the exports in oil are going from China. They're going to China. How does it not behoove the United States strategically to do something about that? Of course it does. And we can dive into that too in the open back and forth. Now, I'm not a big supporter of foreign wars, especially not in Iran. I'm not making any excuses for it. I'm just pointing out.
Not a supporter of foreign wars in one ear and out the other of people that disagree with Andrew Wilson. We're just going to forget he ever said that.
Something which is obvious. He also says,
because again, he's in a debate and he's defending Trump in the debate. So he's letting you know how he truly feels about things. If he wasn't debating it, he probably wouldn't be talking about him in such a glowing light. But he's at a debate, debating a position.
Elon Musk did Doge cuts. Were Democrats going to do Doge cuts? No. Trump made that promise, and that's exactly what they tried to do. He's been hamstrung at every level. This guy has 3 times the...
This is very true. And I mean, I don't even know if I should show you this. I don't even know if I should still have it up on my YouTube. I'll let this play as I find it.
Amount of court cases against him as any other president does in the last 50 years. It's ridiculous. Democrats hamstring him at every corner. So as we go through this, let's talk about Epstein. That's another big one. With Epstein, you have to separate mythology, the actual mythology of Epstein, from the facts of Epstein. To hear the other side tell it, there is a global pedophilic satanic organization which runs the United States. The evidence they have for that? Fucking nothing. They have nothing. They have no evidence whatsoever. Guarantee you he won't be able to provide us with any evidence for that. Not a single shred. Not only that, I'll tell you something really interesting.
I believe there is evidence. I believe that they're hiding the evidence, but you need evidence to prosecute to actually do something about it. But in terms of how much Trump has been hamstrung, okay, this is still up my channel. When did I put this out? October of 2024. This is 2 hours of commie feds seditiously conspiring about a Trump re-election. And it's Feds for Democracy. Look at the schnoz on the lady. It's everything that you think it is. And it's 2 hours of them talking about how they intentionally speed things up and slow things down against Trump. There's over 100 people on this. Look at this. There's so many people on this call. Okay. So in order for Trump to get anything done, no matter this is the issue. No matter who is in charge, there's other people that stay there, even when somebody else is in charge, and they are leftists, to put it nicely.
I do know of a satanic type religion of pedophiles, and right this second, Trump's blowing them up. Right this second, as we...
I don't think this is a strong point. What he's going for is, which does have merit to it, people act like they care about PDF files. They don't, okay? It's essentially a political tool at this point. They're like, oh, we care Epstein, we care so much about those victims. And it's like, what about current victims? I mean, I see what he's going for. He could have explained it with less confidence. He could have handled that more delicately, because as soon as I was hearing the way he was saying it, I'm like, that is going to rub people the wrong way. Definitely. He does have a good point in there. I don't think it was said the best way. I think it was said. I think he's used to being antagonistic, and he didn't alter his rhetoric.
He blew up their leadership. The Ayatollah Khomeini instituted child marriage, as young as 9 years old inside of Iran. And we're killing them, overwhelming. You want to talk about pedophiles? Let's talk about pedophiles. Where are they at? I can tell you who we're blowing up right now who are pedophiles. That would be Trump blowing up pedophiles. That's what he's doing currently. So
he does have a difficult task of talking about the Epstein files, and people just associate that word association, PDF, and it's like, okay, well, like, so what exactly happened? No one can tell you. No one exactly can tell you, because we don't know. And so that's kind of his point, where it's just used as to smear the administration, like the left does, which he doesn't want to play in the hand of the left, would be the argument, I believe.
Oh, it's really funny to me, the Epstein people, hey, wait a second, we're totally anti-pedophile. This is ridiculous. There's pedophiles at the top levels. They have no evidence for that. And yet, if we just look not too far away, we see that there's an entire nation of pedophiles. Do you mind doing trade with them? Right? Owen Shroyer recently said, I don't care why, or he said, in his debate with Shabos, why is it that Iran is not allowed to have a nuke, but Israel is?
Oh, God, when did that happen? I actually wouldn't mind covering Owen Shroyer against Shabbos Kestenbaum. I did miss that one.
What are you advocating for there? That a whole country full of pedophiles is allowed to have a nuclear bomb? Why should we allow that? It's ridiculous. Moving through some of these other problems, he says the problem is Republicans podcasting means nothing. When we're talking about Trump, especially in his second term, podcast meant everything. In fact, Kamala Harris said it herself. Joe Rogan. And the fact that Trump went on.
And now this is fair. You know, he means Israel. Now it is fair to say he's it's one thing to say that you're anti-Christian Zionist, but then you would need to incorporate more rhetoric kind of going heavier at them, especially when you're criticizing Iran, which would be completely understandable feedback.
Joe Rogan really helped push him over the top. Harris regretted the fact she didn't do the podcast syndicated radio shows. He didn't do the podcast circuit. She didn't do any of that. She regretted it. She said that she regretted it. She even blamed Myron Gaines, a podcaster, for parts of her loss. She blamed him and the evil manosphere, because they don't want women to be president, like somebody else who's on stage right now. So as we go through this, I'm kind of happy. I'd like to get into the back and forth as quick as we can so that we can see if any of these criticisms actually hold muster. He says he's not addressing corruption.
Whoa, hey, what do you mean? Is my boy Owen going bald? How is he going bald? Look at how much hair he's growing in the back. If somebody was going bald, would they really grow out their hair extra long in the back as it's leaving on top?
Yeah, he's not addressing corruption head on. It's like, wait a second. What do you mean? He's going after the SPLC right this second. As we speak, super corrupt organization, which was working with the deep state, by the way, just pointing that out.
With that, we'll kick it over to Owen for his 5-minute rebuttal as well. Floor is all yours, Owen.
All right. Well, as far as when this war started, obviously there's a lot of contention in the geopolitical debate realm, but at least for this administration, it started last June.
This is also unbelievably true. To be fair, he's been in a few stressful situations. Couldn't agree more.
With Operation Midnight Hammer. And since then, we haven't gotten a lick of honesty because we were supposed to have annihilated or obliterated, was the official word from the president, their nuclear capabilities. And then they came back a few months later and said Iran was weeks away, days away from a nuke. And so now we're over there again. And I think to most people, they perceive this war, I think accurately, as just another regime change war.
Okay, so right-wingers beat the snot out of the left. Now we just eat our own all day. We need to be able to have debates like this. They both shook hands after. They're both fine with each other after. They're not the ones that are eating our own, okay? That's people on the internet that I'm trying to push back against. Well, the right has public debates. You know, that's why I want to cover Joel Webbin talking to Calvin Robinson about the black problem in America.
Now, you may not care for Iran's leadership. You're not going to get any pushback from me on any of that. And yet the facts remain. This was a regime change war. They lied to us about it from the very beginning. There is a major contingency of Trump's voting base that voted for no new wars. It was part.
Do you think I disagree with anything Owen Shroyer is saying right now? Like, Owen Shroyer has the more favorable position in this debate. I think we can agree.
Of the campaign promise. In fact, Trump himself for decades has been talking about how we've wasted blood and treasure in the Middle East, wasted it, his own words. He ran against Bush's wars in his first campaign in 2015 and 2016, and he even said specifically no more regime change wars. So that's just a total reversal of policy on that, and this has people wondering who's making these decisions. I don't need to get into that now, but
I think he's implying it's the moose.
Not even getting consistency on the messaging in the last couple of weeks. The strait is closed. It's not closed. We've won the war. The war's not over. We need to go in. Nobody really knows. And by the way, I think...
Well, so I do want to make this point. Debates are fine. Don't you think we're a little beyond that now? Debating with the left, for the most part, that's just for dunking. But the right needs to have like traditional debate, which is why this is set up more like a structured debate. And then there's, you know, time for them to go back and forth, but they intro, rebuttals to what each other said, and then they go at it. And then there's a Q&A, and then it's the audience's responsibility to be able to handle a debate on the right where they're not ankle biting each other. They're not competing. The only thing they're competing with is they think that their position. I don't know. It's more like an actual debate that we need to have, but people aren't used to a real debate where they don't hate each other. And, you know, a debate with the left is like for the country. This debate is more so about strategy and refining our positions on the right.
Trump does that strategically. But nonetheless, the truth is that we don't get any honesty from this administration. It just doesn't add up. And as far as the strategy with China and Russia, I'd like to think that this is all going to work out in our favor. I'd like to think that that's the play that Trump is making. However, it doesn't appear to be going in our favor. I think that most of the world is looking at the foreign policy of this administration, and they're seeing it as very, very favorable to Israel, which is essentially a pariah.
Very cool. We have a Tom Foe sighting in chat. Very cool, dude. I only know about you because people in my community told me all about you. Very cool to see you here.
Of the entire international community. And so instead of perhaps these countries maybe driving away from Russia and China, I think they're driving to China and Russia and away from the United States because of Trump's aggression, again, in the Middle East, as the world views it, on behalf of Israel. As far as the Dems, hamstringing Trump, I think that happened a lot in the first administration. I'm not really seeing as much of it in this administration.
Okay. The administrations only change a little bit. There is no scenario where any person on the right can have an administration that isn't crawling with moos and leftists, okay?
But this gets back to the deep state. I thought we were talking about criminals. I thought we were talking about the Obama administration committing treason. We were talking about them illegally spying. And yet now President Trump says, I'm okay to give up my liberties for safety. I'm okay with them illegally spying on you. That doesn't really sit well with me. And I think the Dems are going to look at that very favorably when we get to the midterms. Israel does have a nuke. It is it's a violation of the nuclear proliferation agreement. They're not supposed to have one. Everybody knows they have it. In fact, technically, they shouldn't even be our ally because they have a nuclear weapon, but somehow they're above all of these rules. Now, again, I'm not here to take any ground in defense.
What the hell? I'm looking at Tom Foe's channel right now. How the hell did he get 16,000 views on a video that has the word retarded in the title? Fellas, hands that heel in the chat for Tom Foe. I didn't even know that was an option. Wow. He is making the algorithm his bitch. Congrats, dude. Sweet mother of God.
Of Iran, but I will point out the fact that Israel is famous for repatriating pedophiles. That is a fact. Everybody knows it. American pedophiles are able to flee to Israel and get safe harbor there. We have many instances of this. Now, the Epstein files, I don't know how deep we want to go into this. This one is a little confusing to me.
Now, when the discussion about the Epstein files comes up, okay, it is difficult to talk about. You can't just pull things out and prove them, right? So we're gonna try to handle that as nuanced as we can.
Say, show me evidence that there is a pedophile ring. Well, I would slap down on the table, not even 50% of the Epstein files. We don't even know how many we've gotten, but it's 50% max. There's not a single Iranian in the files, not a single one. Now, there is a certain group of people that are in there, but we don't need to get into that. But they all are.
And Andrew laughs, okay? We get it. We can't just make this about Mooseburging. There's other things aside from... Watch Ardy and Fist if you want to see Mooseburgs, okay? Time and a place. Discernment, fellas. But they're talking about larger politics.
Rich. And they're not in prison. And that's where they should be. So I don't really want to have to think about Iran's cultural issues. These are Americans and people that were using them for blackmail to get leverage over our country. That's how most people perceive these Epstein files, of which we don't even have the entire files. But in them, we see references, what appear to be killing people, taking women, young women, babies as sex slaves. Who knows what else?
Dude, they essentially hugged each other at the end of this. Does it seem like Owen and Andrew are having an argument online with each other? No, everyone had an issue, understandably so, with a few comments that Andrew Wilson made. And then once people are criticizing Andrew Wilson, then it's time to open the floodgates and do the classic jar of olives, ditch liquor comments, which all make sense.
What's going on in these files? There's very obvious code language. I know this. If I was able to get one of my kids' cell phones and I'm reading through this cell phone and they keep talking about pizza and grape soda and jerky, I'm going to pull one of them aside and I'm going to say, hey, what are you talking about? And if they say, oh, I'm just a pizza connoisseur. Me and my friends just make beef jerky and eat grape soda. I'm going to say, bullshit. Tell me what the hell you're talking about. If I see you saying, I'm going to get pot from my friend, I know you're not talking about a potted plant.
Andrew needs to recognize that his audience is far right. Sure, Christian right. And if he defends the moves in the debate, it's a lose-lose situation for him. The barometer for defending the moves, okay, is different. I would like to pinpoint where he's defending the moose in this. I didn't interpret it that way. Obviously, people are, but I'm not seeing it.
I know you're talking about drugs. So it's obvious the same thing is going on in these emails. Where is the investigation? If your kid brought that to you, you would not believe them for 1 second. You'd say this is clearly code language and I'm going to investigate what it is. I think we should continue to investigate these Epstein files instead of continuing to cover them up, because I do think there is a there, as most other Americans do. And that's something that Trump campaigned on and many of his administration talked about for years.
Yes. I've said this publicly, where I'm like, thanks a lot, Trump. You got everyone's attention about the Epstein files and then acted like it was a Democrat conspiracy. Great job. It's impossible to defend. That right there really pushed me away. And I mean, Mark Levin putting his slithering tail around Trump and then them calling him the first Mooish president. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's not, you can't be a Trump fan. Okay. But it's what we have for 3 years.
We're going to jump into the crossfire. This is 40 minutes, so this is fully up to you guys. If it gets too rocky, I'm going to jump in and put it into 90-second responses. So the floor is...
What's funny is he said that for Rachel Wilson and Brian Shapiro. He could have implemented that, but he chose not to.
It's yours, gentlemen, for open dialogue.
So I wanted to start, if we could, with Israeli repatriation of pedophiles. So you and I both agree that this happens and it's abhorrent. Do you know that what the number?
Okay, fellas, here we go. Here's where we're gonna have some criticisms. Now, the repatriation of PDF files going to Israel, right? He is gonna throw out a real hot offer, is what we call in the improv world. Okay, a hot offer, a really spicy meatball. Now, what he's saying is true. What Andrew Wilson is about to say about the Catholic Church and moving around PDF files is true. Does that mean you should say the truth however you feel like? No, that would be rhetorically defective. And whenever he's rhetorically defective, I understand. I would never tell you to not be put off by what he's about to say.
Are roughly.
The last story I read was a CBS story. It was a couple dozen, I think.
I think total that I could find, I was being as charitable to your view as I could, it's about 200. That's a lot. It's a significant amount. But it's nothing in comparison to the Catholic Church.
Oh, boy.
Nothing. Which is somewhere around 100,000 children, perhaps, or more. When we talk about this idea of pedophilia here in the United States, Owen, this is my big issue with this, is that there's always a red herring, right? The red herring is, well, Israel repatriates pedophiles. It's like, yeah, that's true. So does the United States in a way, though. We have passport bros who they go to Malaysia, they have sex with underage kids.
So, this is true. People are acting like they care so much about PDF files. Fellas, search your county for the sex offender registry, okay? They're in your neighborhood. They're all around you, okay? It is used as a jacketing tactic rather often. He didn't really explain it this way, and I understand why nobody heard it that way.
And then they come back here. It's the same exact principle applied. The only difference is there's no official right of return. There doesn't need to be. They're already U.S. citizens.
But please help me understand this. He's crapping on his own side for the moose. What was he thinking? He's in a debate. He's defending Trump in this debate. Okay, he's already made some caveats. Says he thinks that Trump is too pro-gay, too pro-woman, and too pro-Zionist. He has already said that. He says he doesn't agree with us going to war in other countries. He's made all these concessions. Okay, now I would love to know what Andrew said that isn't true, and we could possibly work with that.
But when we're talking about this, we know where the groups of pedophiles are. We've known this for years. The Catholic Church, for instance, again, part of one of the largest pedophilic scandals in the world. Which church do you belong to again? Is it Catholic?
I have no qualms with what you're saying about the Catholic Church, whether I identify as one or not. So go ahead. I will sit here all day as a confirmed Catholic and ridicule their pedophilia.
Yeah, I'm just saying that when you use the red herring of the Israeli repatriation.
How is it a red herring if it's true?
Because the red herring happens when
Didn't you admit it's hundreds?
Now, unnecessary salt in the wound to go, you're a Catholic, aren't you? If you're, he's been debating leftists for years now. I don't think he really typically has a debate with someone on his side taking a disadvantageous position. So that's going to give him an onslaught of hate, understandably so.
When you say, hey, wait a second, yeah, hundreds.
So
for
it's
sure.
a real thing. So it's not a red herring.
No, the red herring portion of it is when you obfuscate away from the argument on the Epstein files, as though there's a global cabal of pedophiles. I point out in Iran, there's an open cabal of pedophiles. You say, well, Israel harbors pedophiles too. It's like, no, they don't have official policy for pedophilia, dude. They
Hold on a
don't.
second. You just
They
did-
don't.
And so now we're going to be having institutional PDF files, which is Iran, and institutional PDF files, which technically Israel doesn't have, which again is true, but I understand if someone doesn't care.
You're talking about people that have been actually charged with crimes of pedophilia that Israel knowingly takes in.
So
they are very
that's
well
not in
aware.
every instance. That's
So
in
they are
some
very
instances.
well aware.
Sometimes it's suspected. One of the big key ones was an Australian case, I'm sure you're familiar with. That was one of the big key ones, but it's not always the case that they're charged with anything. There lots of them are just suspected of this.
There was just
The
an
same way that the
IDF.
United
There was
States is
just an
suspected-
IDF. Hold on.
Yeah,
There was just
go
an IDF security official, Alexandrovich, who just got charged, caught in a bust, and he fled over there. He's gone.
Of course, but you're
So
going to find.
give me a comparable story this year
You're
to
gonna,
the
you can
Catholic
find the
Church.
same thing.
Show me the Catholic
perhaps,
Church. Show me
yeah.
the Catholic Church finding a pedophile and saying, "Come to the Catholic Church."
They moved them to other churches. What are you talking about?
So
to
show me.
allow them to continue to offend.
Very, very sensible. It's all a big pivot. That's what Andrew is diving into. I see why you're saying that. However, we're going to be talking about the Epstein stuff, which again is Trump's fault. And I believe Andrew makes the concession the way the administration went about it. But also, this does serve as an obfuscation. Everyone obsessively talking about the Epstein files when there's material things in the country to focus on. And how much do you care about PDF files really when it's not in the Epstein files, I believe would be the response to that.
Hundreds of thousands of cases.
So show me one name.
I'm supposed to remember every name of every
I
bishop?
just gave you one name in the last year. Tom Alexandrovich, IDF
Are you
security
denying
official,
that the
fled to
Catholic
Israel.
Church doesn't move around pedophiles?
No, I just said they do. I
Then
can talk
why
about
are
the
you-
Catholic Church all day long.
Then why are you
But we're
arguing?
talking about the Trump administration.
Okay. Andrew is pivoting. Can you please let me know what Andrew is pivoting from?
Dealing with the Epstein files. That's what we're talking about.
So as we're diving into the Epstein files, give me your biggest piece of proof that Donald Trump in any way knew about any pedophilia, and name actual names of people who you're willing to say are pedophiles in that administration. Go ahead.
Okay, I never made either one of those claims,
Exactly.
but I will respond to your.
It's likening, and this is kind of a leftist tactic. It's likening him to, they would say that someone's a Nazi apologist or a racist apologist, right? It's just getting the stink of PDF file near the administration is the effect of it. And then when pressed on, it's like, well, I don't have any proof, but I mean, there's probably something there. That's the contention.
Question. Howard Lutnick lied when he said he hadn't been to the island since he found out. He got caught lying. He took his family there. This was after Epstein had already been a convicted pedophile. Now, if Donald Trump wants to claim he has plausible deniability as far as Epstein's activities are concerned, I suppose that's fair
Are you
enough.
even claiming that guy's a pedophile?
Well, you know what? If you want to talk about the things Trump has said about
Hang on,
his
answer
daughter
the question
Ivanka,
before
we can
you
talk about
obfuscate.
it. We can talk
Answer
about
the
Donald
question.
Trump. Hold on a second.
Are you
We can
going to call that guy a pedophile?
Have
or
I
no?
called Trump a pedophile once?
Well, this is why I'm getting clarification.
The answer
on
is
this.
no.
The reason I'm getting
The answer is
clarification
no.
is because on the Epstein files, people refuse to separate mythology from fact. And there's a lot of mythology here. And this mythology that you guys continuously talk about, that Trump is in some way associated with this global cabal of satanic pedophiles, but you never name names, you never give evidence. Your only evidence is they don't give us evidence. Why would you trust the evidence that these people give you anyway? Why would you even trust that anyway?
Now, you would need something substantial for a prosecution, something substantial. And so this is why it's difficult for that to be a main issue that you have with the Trump administration, because then when you're pushed on it, it's like, so then what do we do? Which part of it's most compelling? And there's just not a lot of response there.
Don't trust them, the evidence that they've given you so far. So why is it always the demand is like, I want endless evidence of a thing that we always make claims about, but can never demonstrate? Why?
So Trump is obviously maybe mentioned more than anyone else in the files. If you want to claim that he has nothing to show at least.
And Mitch, is there, if you could, obviously it's YouTube, but a concise, couple of words, couple of sentences. If you were Owen Shroyer, do you think Owen Shroyer is responding well? If not, what do you think Owen should respond with to Andrew?
In the files, so that's fine. Howard Lutnick, however, lied when he said he hadn't been there. He is still in the Trump administration. He was just running point for their meeting at the Oval Office just last week, and he's in the files taking his kids to Epstein Island. So, would you take your kids to Epstein Island?
Well, okay, so are you saying at the time?
And the best he's got so far is, would you take your kids to Epstein Island? I mean, so no. Do you see how it's kind of falling flat, right? Arden Party, $2. Have a 20 shoot me for the cheap ad spot. Thank you, Arden Party. Ancient Hybrid, remember for 1 month. Sup, baby. Asher Genesius, $5. Thank you. Andrew is laughing because since it's legal in Iran, why in God's name would they need JE? No kidding. They're not in the files. Yeah. Yeah. Ancient Hybrid, $2. Thank you. Borderline Artistic is another real one. Very cool. Very nice. Fresh Barn, $10. Thank you so much. We have the war band, Tom Fowians, and the deficit. Remember, lads, we're all going to be okay. Don't let the evil of the world hold you down. So, and this is the thing where Andrew Wilson is going for a dialing down the temperature position. Well, Owen Shroyer is going, we need to demand that they arrest these people that they're never going to do. I mean, if you just find out about this stuff, it seems like it's just happening now, but then you realize it's been happening for generations. And so that can, dial down the temperature. Malake, like the stream. Thank you. Grace Slayer. Fellas, Fist did a video with the Stormy Waters guy. It's really good. Everyone, just go and watch that, apparently. Thank you. Asher, $5. Thank you. Owen is pulling the Candace Owens. We don't know, but we know. That's what Andrew's pointing out. Sure, right? So if you're going to be so steadfast about this and it's a part of your argumentation, you're making a claim. So then you should be able to defend the claim really better than he is defending it. But we do know that there's stuff that they're not telling us, right? Andrew put himself in a difficult position by the prompt that he chose to defend, or the side of the prompt he chose to defend. Owen Shroyer put himself in a difficult position to be espousing these views about the Epstein files. And it's like, so what do we do? Arrest them. Arrest who? They hit the names. I don't think we're going to arrest them then. It doesn't really go very far, I think is the issue. Sea Dog Knight, $5. Thank you. Take your kids to Epstein Shishi Island. Case closed. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. Thank you, fellas.
There was media scrutiny that this was a pedophilic island.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Epstein had already been charged. He'd already been in jail.
Are you saying this guy took his kids to the island to get them raped?
I don't know what he took his kids to the island for.
Yeah,
He denied it.
So exactly. So the point of saying that, right? He took his kids to the island. Would you take your kids to the island? Do you think he took them there to get raped? I don't know. Well, okay. So what point are you making, right? That's the issue.
By the way,
he denied
this again
he
is
lied.
Absence of evidence means that that's evidence. That's not evidence.
No.
Did Howard Lutnick go to the island?
I'm
not sure.
He admitted it. He's in the files.
Yeah,
he took his kids.
I'm not sure on that particular, but it's irrelevant, the particular, because even if I grant the particular, you won't actually call the guy pedo because you don't have evidence. You never have.
It's just trying to liken him to the island to make it seem like he's a pedo, and then when you call him out, because I'm not saying he's a pedo. Well, then what was the point of bringing that up? I'm just asking questions. I just think it's weird. Sure, it is weird, but what can we do about it? Can you prosecute someone for being weird and suspicious? Well, we got to investigate it more. They're not going to. Like, on one hand, Owen Shroyer has been studying this for a long time now, how corrupt our government is, and you think they're just going to prosecute? That seems like a new person to politics thing to say. Yes, it is unjust. Obviously, they know more than you do, and they're not prosecuting for a reason.
Have evidence, just claims. Claim. No evidence for it. Now, I'm willing to cede a bunch of points to you. If you can show me some evidence of it, happy to do it.
So
Trump was actually right. He claimed that
So why was he on the island? Probably for nefarious reasons. We have due process, and you can't prosecute somebody for being weird and suspicious would be the issue. So Andrew seems to be approaching this from more of a pragmatic of like, so what do we do?
Democrats were going to use the talking point that, Trump's a pedophile, Trump's covering for...
Oh, I got to stop for this, fellas. I got to stop for this. Fresh Barn, $5. Thank you so much. Dropping another one to remind y'all, moves want us to lose our minds and feel alone. Be safe, work out, and praise Christ if you can. That's why I'm just trying to have a conversation about this and not go, this person won, that person won. This is not even friendly fire. They're fine with each other. These two guys are completely fine with each other. But we do need to have these discussions, let alone the race discussion, which hopefully is coming up in a few days, few weeks. Isaac, $10. Thank you so much. Look, Andrew deciding to defend the Zios. He's not defending the Zios. And the Epstein files. Oh, no, my God. No matter how many times you explain it, it's just too weird to look over. I can't convince you otherwise, it is what it is. I know that Owen kinda is a little off his rocker, but he has a point. Why support the evil in power? He's explicitly not for the Zios. He is defending Trump in this debate amongst a friend, they're political friends, okay? They're not political enemies. And so Andrew is taking the unpopular position and debating it. Blazini, $10, thank you so much. Just ending up on the freebies. Thank you so much, my dude. Much appreciated.
Pedophiles, the whole 9 yards. He says, yeah, that's a hoax. Whole thing's a damn hoax. And it is. The whole damn thing is a hoax. They've been calling this guy a pedophile. You just said he's named in the, how many times is he named in the Epstein files? That's a Democrat talking point. Well, what's he named in the Epstein files for?
Excellent. Trump is a Zio. All of our presidents are Zios. All of them are. Now, Andrew has a stake in the country. He has children. He has kids. And so the country so don't vote for the right because all of them are Zios. You would need a criticism that is unique to the situation.
Actually doing what?
Well, there are FBI investigations that have some pretty serious claims. They never
not
manifested
credible.
anything.
They
That's
literally
fine.
say
That's
not credible.
So we're not here to have a debate over the Epstein files. But I
brought
do,
it up as
but
a
I
reason
do
he's a
find it
failure.
odd. No, you are the one that brought it up. But I do find it odd that you're going to pretend like Howard Lutnick didn't lie about going to the island after Epstein was convicted
I'll even
and took his
see
kids.
the point.
Are you going to tell me? Hold on a second.
It doesn't help your
Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that?
So yes, Andrew's taking a position. Why do you keep saying this? Because taking a position doesn't mean he is pro-Zionist. I'm just very confused as to what the issue is. Yes, I'm not saying that to you. If you understand that, I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying it to people that are acting like Andrew Wilson is a Zionist.
Donald Trump was not friends with Jeffrey Epstein?
He was initially friends with Jeffrey Epstein,
so
but he also banned him from his properties.
That's fine, and he might have helped bring him in.
Hang on, he banned him from his properties, and he was also front and center at pointing out to people that Epstein was a creep. That's one. And two, everything that's mentioned in the files, Michael Tracy has done great work on this. He's gone through them ad nauseum.
So
the things which are put in there about Trump are ridiculous on their face. And the claims from various people about Trump are noted inside of these files most of the time as being not credible at all.
Here's what's credible. Alex Acosta is the one that cut Jeffrey Epstein his sweetheart deal. It was so bad of a deal that they had to re-examine it and rearrest Jeffrey Epstein and put him back in.
I mean, let's really maximize this. He is defending Zios. Well, a Zio got J6ers out of prison. So should they have denied that and stayed in prison?
Jail in New York City.
Which administration did that happen under?
Where he was ultimately killed.
Yeah, which administration did that happen under?
The Trump administration.
That's right. He got
which is actually
rearrested
starting
under
to look
the
a little
Trump
more suspicious. It's actually starting to look a little more suspicious now. Yeah.
How is that more suspicious? So
he died in jail.
What administration?
How did Acosta,
he die in jail? What administration did Acosta?
Trump's.
Was he in when he cut the deal?
He wasn't in office. Trump wasn't in office.
Yeah.
Acosta was an attorney.
Whose administration was that under?
Obama's.
Obama. So Obama, we have Acosta, goes ahead and gives him the sweetheart deal, right, under Obama. Under the Trump administration, they rearrest Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that amazing? The guy protecting the pedophiles.
So the person that Trump brought into his administration is the one that cut Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal that no pedophile, child sex trafficker has ever seen before in their life. Such a sweetheart deal, they had to rearrest him again.
Yeah, they have seen it before in their life. First
So
of
look,
all,
whether Trump-
he wasn't even accused of pedophilia. What he was accused of was localized trafficking in Florida. And yes, people have been cut sweetheart deals for that. You're full of it.
Okay, so your stance is
so
your stance is Epstein was not a pedophile and there's nothing in the Epstein files. Because I don't want to debate this the whole time.
I didn't say that. My stance is that there's bold claims which are made, and I can see you running from it. I don't blame you for running from the claim.
This isn't the debate. I'm not here to, I mean, you're on a political debate. This is worse. Absolutely.
Well, then it's part of the debate.
There should be dozens of Epstein arrests. They are literally
Of who?
covering it up.
Tell me
Exactly. They've redacted the names.
Who should we be arresting? Exactly.
I'd love
What
to
does that
know.
mean?
Why are all the names redacted from the files?
Because
Why haven't they
I'll
given
tell
us
you.
all the files?
I'll actually tell you. And if you'd done your due diligence, you would know this.
Oh, because they're victims.
No. Because victims advocacy groups and lawyers have tied this thing up like nobody's business. Again, Michael Tracy's done the research on this.
And no pedophiles go to jail.
Which pedophiles should go to jail?
The ones that they've redacted. So
what are their names?
So Epstein trafficked kids to no one.
No, Epstein was getting kids.
So
Ghislaine was trafficking kids to him.
Okay, so Epstein raped all the kids. No one else did.
Name a single person he trafficked a kid to.
They're all redacted from the files. What are you
The
talking
files
about?
don't even indicate that.
You can
Who?
see in the emails. He says, "I have girls. How old do you want them? I have girls. I don't like yellow. I want Russian." That's all right there.
That's not him. There's nothing to do with pedophilia, as far as you know. Show me some evidence.
As far as you know, it does.
Wait a second. Absence of evidence is not evidence. Do you agree with that?
So the point that Andrew is making is like, okay, so if you have something so ironclad, what would we prosecute these people on? And what Owen Shroyer is giving him is not enough to prosecute somebody.
No, I'm using your logic against you. If you're saying
my
it
logic
doesn't
works
prove
for
anything,
me and not for you.
Okay, so I'll accept this because I don't want to debate. So Epstein was not a pedophile. He was not trafficking children. Anybody.
Andrew isn't doing good here. Completely understandable.
He was not friends with Trump. They're not covering up. They're not covering up the files.
I'm willing to see the distinction between the mythology of Epstein trafficking children to all of these various pedophiles is a mythology. I'm also willing to see that Epstein himself may very well have been a pedophile, but it seemed like the trafficking was going to him. And you have no proof to the alternative of that. And even when you point at Acosta,
So what is
this
Epstein
happens
doing?
under Obama, rearrested under Trump. Trump's the only one who released any Epstein files at all, signed in the Epstein Transparency Act.
Yeah,
Congress also
after
pushed forward.
they redacted them for weeks, they still haven't
Because of
released everything.
victims.
They still haven't released everything, by the way.
How would Trump unredact them? Can you explain that to me?
Well, they shouldn't be redacted at all.
Yeah, but how would Trump unredact them?
Well, it's actually pretty easy. I think he calls them and says, "Hey,
No.
unredact these."
No.
things."
That's the judicial branch. That's a different branch of government.
And he can call them and tell
Trump's
them
allowed to do that with classified documents. Not allowed to do that with redactions. Those redactions are going through the judiciary. So what should Trump do here?
He can easily declassify. He can easily release everything.
They're not classified. They're redacted.
Then why aren't they released?
He did release them.
Not
He
all
released
of them.
millions of documents.
Not all of them.
And not only that, again, how would he get them unredacted? Tell me.
Not even all of them. They're
Tell
not
me
even
how
all
he-
released.
Now, see, this is the issue with the barometer of success. He needs every, this is why you would have to use the lens that Andrew Wilson is using, where it is better than the alternative. Otherwise, it's not what I wanted. How can Andrew Wilson even win a debate when it's never going to be what Owen Shroyer wanted? You can't, that can't even be a debate prompt.
Get them unredacted. How?
It's very simple. You bring out the investigators and you simply read the names that are redacted. That's all you got to do.
You mean like they did in front of a press club and those poor guys who weren't actually pedophiles got calls and threats and everything else?
That happened.
This is a good point. Don't like that opinion by Andrew, but I guess he's just saying what we factually have available. It is not up to Andrew Wilson to make the argument for the Epstein files. This is on Owen Shroyer to do it. Owen Shroyer is not very good at doing that. I mean, you have to have really good information recall.
Into one guy.
Yeah,
That
but I
happened to
mean,
one guy.
that's reading the names of people who aren't even related to it.
Okay,
This
so-
is the problem,
So
man.
this is good. So you're satisfied with the Epstein files?
I didn't say satisfied, but I'm pointing out that I'm not willing to make claims that Donald Trump's a bad guy based on redactions that he's not responsible for. You can't tell me how he should unredact them. You can't tell me
it's
who
very
the,
simple.
who
I want
the
all the
victims are.
files.
You
Show
can't
me
tell me
all
any
the
of this.
files. What do you mean the victims go in front of Congress every freaking day?
I only want to jump in.
Absolutely. Agile Walrus, $10, thank you. TBF, the prompt makes this entire debate very difficult as there is no defined success. Andrew views success as being the lesser of two evils. Shroyer views success and achievements, failures of the government. Absolutely, which is why you have to be in reality of that this is more successful than the previous administration and in pretty large ways that we didn't necessarily anticipate. Isaac, $2, but Trump promised all the Epstein files released. Andrew Wilson does make the concession that the way he went about releasing them, awful. No one can even defend that. Andrew Wilson doesn't defend it. Completely dropped the ball there. Dillweed, $10, thank you. The idea was nice, but the execution was bad since all it did was create more division for the right. Should have been Trump is still viable as president. 100%. The execution was fucking terrible. He got everyone's attention. Everyone, they held the binders. These are the files and shit like that. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. It's like he's like, yeah, we'll release them. Then they looked at it. And they're like, oh, we can't release all this. It was unbelievably short-sighted, unprofessional, and really made it so a lot of us thought twice about supporting him. Definitely. Sea Dog Knight, $10. Thank you so much. Both of these men have magnificent locks. Their hair is incredible. Would you be able to counter their hair product, Ardy? Would you think about it? I don't think I have a counter for that at all whatsoever. They really like the pushed back hair. I guess that's what you do with, they're in their pushed back hair era.
And just because, given that we have only 40 minutes for the open dialogue, though it's been epic so far, I just want to be sure if there are other topics you want to cover. We have 28 minutes left.
I would say,
Can we move on to the economy?
The Epstein files is a debacle and a disaster for
The
President
releasing of the Epstein files was a debacle.
There it is. The releasing of the Epstein files was a debacle, which I think is more correct. The files themselves are edited to high heavens. From Rumble, Clint Westwood, $10. Thank you so much. I just think Andrew couldn't find an actual lefty that would debate him. That motherfucker just loves to debate, and Owen was the only person he could find. I think he wants to strengthen the right, and he's willing to take difficult positions, but he should not be debating them like he's debating a leftist. I feel like that would gain him a lot more favor in his pursuit. Clint Westwood, $10 again. I just think Andrew couldn't find it. Oh, that was twice. Well, thank you for that 2 times. Very much appreciated.
I agree with that. The problem is that what I'll never accept is lack of evidence being evidence of a thing. And while you pretend that there's a global pedophilic ring that you have no evidence of controlling the United States, I can show you a global pedophilic ring which exists right out in the open.
Now, this is annoying to hear. We know that this is almost like source, and I understand that because in terms of like prosecution, there is a global PDF file ring. There is. You know what? I don't have any proof, but I'm going to say there is. Okay? Let's say I'm going to take a leap of faith and definitely say that there is. But in a debate, you're not just going to cede that ground.
Trump's blowing up right now.
So Epstein didn't put a bunch of security cameras in all of his places. That didn't happen. He wasn't working with Maxwell, the daughter of the top Israeli spy.
Now, this is technically gish galloping from Owen Shroyer. And so the reason why you don't want to do that is now Andrew Wilson has a collection of arguments. And in a debate, he should choose the weakest one and attack that argument. It's not a good strategy.
With Wayne Maxwell, yes, there were security cameras in his various places. All of that is correct. That's, again, asking questions, not providing evidence.
So why does he do that for?
Wait, there's cameras here. What's that evidence?
This is an event. This is a televised
event. Yeah, but what's the evidence of?
Who is Epstein televising what's going on in his room?
He wasn't televising anybody. Got any proof?
So why are there cameras installed?
Because the same reason rich people have cameras all over their houses.
So he has them in all of his bedrooms, secret cameras?
What secret cameras? Can you show them?
Yeah, they're in the emails. He literally hired IDF security people to put secret cameras in all of his rooms.
No.
He had a damn security room with monitors in his mansions.
Yeah. You're talking about one specific instance in one specific room, by the way, not in all of his properties and not in the Florida properties. And those are the ones where he got convicted of all these things. So what are you talking about? You're talking about a completely unrelated thing to what I'm asking you. Do you have evidence that Trump was part of a global pedophilic ring or that anybody was?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
Give me your best piece.
The Epstein files.
Best piece in the Epstein files.
The whole freaking thing. What are you talking about?
So he has a stake in this country, okay? Tom Foe said, I've seen Andrew and his wife speak out against Israel before. He's not a Judeo-Christian defending Zion. He's just still on the Trump train. Well, what is the other option? He also talks to Steven Crowder, okay? He actually, I believe, has talked about publicly about starting a nonprofit. He has a lot of things he's doing in the background, and he has made his position clear about Israel and about going to war and stuff like that. But then I think he's trying to build a coalition is really what it seems like, because he has been working with a lot of people in front of the camera and in the background. So it's not even still just being on the Trump train, but like if people start going against Republicans, as we've seen with like people voting for Nick Fuentes talking about voting for Democrats, he's like, okay, well then if we still need to vote Republican even if we don't like Trump. It's more so pro the party that he is, I wouldn't say trying to infiltrate, but trying to influence.
Okay, so hold on. So was Epstein convicted?
Not a pedophilia.
Yes, he was.
Okay, who?
Was Maxwell convicted?
I'm sorry.
Was Maxwell
I'm sorry. When was Jeffrey Epstein convicted of pedophilia?
So Epstein, jail. Maxwell,
when
jail.
was Epstein
Jean-Luc
convicted
Brunel,
of pedophilia?
jail.
When was
Two of them committed suicide
when was Epstein
in jail.
Convicted of pedophilia?
I think whatever the first charge was in 2007 in Florida.
That's not. He wasn't convicted for pedophilia.
Trafficking children isn't pedophilia.
First of all,
so now you're saying Epstein wasn't a pedophile?
He was doing underage. There was one or two of the underage prostitutes that came from the school. That's true. But I think
that's underage.
I think they were 16, 17, not prepubescent children. It's a whole different ballgame. He wasn't convicted of pedophilia.
Okay, so Epstein wasn't a pedophile. Glad we got there.
I didn't say Epstein wasn't a pedophile. I said you haven't given us any proof he is. Got some?
Yeah, there's no proof Epstein wasn't a pedophile.
Oh, I'm going to use an argument from incredulity.
That is an argument from incredulity. And it is true. 16 and 17 is different than 9 years old. As true as that is, people just don't give a shit. They don't like hearing that. It is true, but rhetorically, people are just like, it feels like a justification to people. I understand the point. People just it's pedo jacketing, PDF jacketing. I understand that point. Doesn't always go over well with audiences.
Himself in jail, nothing to see here, and we should probably pardon Maxwell too.
I'm totally incredulous, but I have no evidence of my claims.
Just because the economy is another topic we might want to cover still while we have time. We do still have about 25 minutes.
Anyway, so I try to operate off a facts basis. What happened, I'll just sum this up real quick, and then I'll give you the last word on it, to be fair. I'll just summarize it very quickly on Epstein. Epstein very well could have been a pedophile and likely was himself a pedophile. But when you make these claims about demonic...
He very well could have been and likely was. We're all going to ignore that. Andrew Wilson said he could have been and very likely was, okay? But when you're making these claims and when you want something done, you have to have, and they're hiding it, right? Which is why this whole conversation is kind of moot, right? But he said he very likely is a PDF file. We're all going to forget that.
Global pedophile rings which control the United States. Yeah, I want some fucking evidence. I do. And I'm not willing to throw the president of the United States that I voted for under the bus without any evidence. I'm not. So, if you want to tie it off, you can.
Well, I'll just say.
Also, Andrew Wilson's like, hey, if you want the last word, you can have the last word. But he won't be able to help himself.
We also saw in the Democrat emails spirit cookings and children in the hot tub for entertainment. But there's no evidence of pedophile rings.
You're talking about Podesta spirit cooking?
I'm sure
the big art project, spirit cooking?
Podesta, that's right.
Yes, Leon Podesta, who was part of a massive art project for spirit cooking, along with, how about we talk about Rocket Pizza? Did they have babies underneath there, Owen? Did they have children in the basement, Owen?
Good opportunity to go into the economy.
Yeah. All right. So, moving into this, I just got a single question for you. Owen, how would eliminating mass migration into a net negative not cause economic downturn or higher prices?
Now, I think this is the strongest Andrew Wilson was about the economy.
How's that even possible?
Well, it's actually, there's a simpler fix to that, and that is you have to cut taxes. You have to cut them significantly. You have to cut them immediately. Americans are paying roughly 30% of the money that they make plus the property that they own. That number needs to be single digits tops. And a lot of Americans will have a little more money to take care of their bills and take care of their family. But we're not really having that happen.
And again, this technically is the my preferences argument from Owen of what he would like to see.
Now, I feel like this whole argument is assuming that Americans don't want these jobs.
No, it's assuming they do. In fact, my argument to you is just, I'll simply state it. If it's the case that we bring in, 100,000 immigrants tomorrow to California, let's say, okay, and they're willing to take $10 an hour less than the Americans who are there, would you agree with me that that'll probably save you prices in goods and services from whatever that corporation is or company?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. So like if you took McDonald's and you paid them $25 an hour, your cheeseburger is going to get more expensive. You agree with that? So you can offset that with immigrant labor. Do you agree that that's likely true?
Yes, but I don't believe that's the solution.
I agree with you.
Right.
But if it is in fact the case that Trump is doing his job, which it seems like he is, since we have negative net migration, why wouldn't it be the case that if we're deporting all these illegals and they're self-deporting at an overwhelming rate, of course your localized food prices are going to go up because most of these jobs are now going to Americans. In fact, this is exactly what Cato is saying. They're saying we're getting hurt mostly in the economy because Trump is not even letting legal immigrants come in. I thought that was what we wanted, man. We want to stop that legal and illegal immigration. But it's like, not if your fried chicken's going to go up 30 cents. What are you talking about? We want that, right?
Well, the deportation numbers are not where they need to be. I don't know how much that falls into the economic realm of things. Obama deported more people than Trump. So we're not.
There was a lot more people to deport.
Obama deported more people than Trump is a terrible argument. That was like catch and release. They would cross the border and then technically they would be like sent back across the border in like the same day or the same week, and that counted as a deportation. Typically when we hear deportation, we think more of a physical removal.
But I think that there's other reasons for that. I think that this gets into the, let's say, failures at the Department of Justice, which maybe they're just starting to get into with the SPLC, but I don't know. We'll see about that if we come back to that. We're being told as Americans, hey, buck up and pay more for gas. It's this war in Iran. You got to buck up if you're patriotic duty to pay more for gas. That is a war that's being fought in the foreign and special interest.
Now, very fair. This is what most people agree with.
Do you think Americans might be willing, instead of paying another extra $1 per gallon of gasoline, maybe an extra 10 cents for a cheeseburger if they know that means Americans are taking the job? I mean, that's essentially what we're being
But most
asked.
Americans don't know that because even people on my side are running around saying Trump's not deporting enough people, even though we have a net negative in migration right now. Those
Well, we have
jobs,
a closed border.
hang on, those jobs, yes, a closed border and net negative migration, legal and illegal. More people are leaving than coming. That's for the first time we finally got that. It's like, yeah, prices are going to go up from that. You know this. Why not be honest?
So what Andrew is fighting back against is no matter what they do, it's not enough. Instead of letting that at least bolster the base a little bit.
People, if that's the case, and then we're talking about gas. Hang on, I'm almost done.
Prices went up from tariffs.
Okay.
Prices went up
You
from
want to get
energy.
into tariffs? We can do that in a second, but let's start with the gas prices. All you're doing is pitting Trump against Trump. On the Biden level, at his top, do you know what the gas prices were?
About right where they're at now?
Nope. Way more. They were over $5.50. Yeah, they're $1 cheaper.
Andrew's whole argument in this debate seems to be eat the bread and enjoy the circuses. I wouldn't agree. He's made concessions. He has children that are going to have to grow up in this country, and he knows what the country is like if Democrats are elected. He has criticized Trump. So he's not telling people to be content. He's not telling them to close their ears. he's saying if you have a claim, you're going to have something substantial, especially if you want something to be done about it, I believe is the point he's trying to make.
Right now at the peak of Trump than they were at the peak of Biden. So you're only comparing Trump's gas prices to Trump's gas prices. Because if you compare them to the Democrat, they were still way higher. I mean, way higher.
Now, when did the price go up?
Trump speculation mostly.
No, when did the price go up?
Oh, I thought you said why did the price go up?
When did
the price has been going up steadily. And
this is what's difficult. So gas is around $4 where ancient hybrid is. It's nuts. The gas has shifted in the past 2 months wildly. I think it might have gone from like $2.50 to like almost $4 where I am.
Decreasing
since we attacked Iran.
Yes, correct. Due to what? Market speculation. And you can't control speculators, and neither can Trump. It's not because we have some supply shortage of oil. Where's our shortage? Nowhere. We're not getting oil from Iran. We don't even have the processors for their oil. That goes to China. So we have no shortage, but our oil prices go up. Why? Because of speculation. And you just completely omit that. Not only do you omit that, but you omit this other part, which is you still haven't explained how it is that we're going to have net negative migration and prices aren't going to go up. They
Trump,
are.
Hold
right?
on a second. Trump is the one that claimed that he could get gas prices down.
He
He's
did.
the one that made that claim.
And
it
he
hasn't
did.
happened.
If they're lower than Biden's peak by $1.
No.
Yes.
Okay, but we don't even know if we've seen Trump's peak. If
Well,
this war in Iran doesn't
well,
end,
you can't just say
How good is that argument, though? We don't know if but it might go up more, right? Isaac, $5. Thank you. Tom Foe is here. Hell yeah. But I think that Andrew should just give up on Trump. He has been the fake man we were told about save the white race. So what do you mean give up on Trump? So what is that? It would make more sense instead of just saying give up on Trump. I would, but then who would? I guess the real question is, it'd be easier to make a concession about giving up on Trump if we know who is going to replace him. But somebody magically always appears like a year before that has a sordid history. So I guess that we really should be talking about. It's going to be JD Vance, I guess. So yeah, it's looking grim, But in order to infiltrate the administration, you do have to support the administration. Caesar the Great, $5. Sorry I'm late. Can you get Andrew and Owen to redo the debate from the beginning for me now that I'm here? I obviously have that swing. Deep Wang, $20. Thank you so much, my dude. I have found Andrew's arguments on the immigration portion to be his weakest. Obama had more to deport. No, he did not. There are more illegal immigrants in the U.S. than ever. The price increase argument is also absurd. That is actually a very fair point. We have way more. The border was flooded. I actually don't know where he got that from. He had more to deport compared to who, right? And how is the price increase argument absurd? If they are cheaper labor, aren't prices going to go up? Right? I don't understand what your rebuttal is to that argument.
Hey, well, I'm incredulous. They may go up more. They're actually going down. They've been going down steadily.
gas prices are going down?
Yes, they're going to be going down. Yes. And speculators, by the way, are speculating that, which is why they're going to be going down. Interestingly enough, when we're talking about oil prices, though, and gas prices, yes, at Biden's peak, they were $1 more than they are the national average right this second as we're talking. I even made sure this morning before we came in, just to be sure. And yes, that is in fact the case. So it's like you're only comparing Trump to Trump, and even with him blowing the shit out of pedophiles in Iran, like the Ayatollah Khomeini, he still managed to give you $1 cheaper gas than Joe Biden did.
But you just said it wasn't Trump. You just said it was the speculators. Now you're giving credit to Trump. So I don't know what, I'd like a little consistency.
Okay, so wait a second. So you're going to blame it on Trump instead of the speculators. But when I say even under those circumstances, it's $1 cheaper, that can't be because of Trump.
Let's be clear. No. Here's my
I
metric.
want the consistency.
Here's my metric.
Yeah.
Trump said on his campaign he would get gas prices down.
He did.
He hasn't done it.
Yes, he has.
He's even admitted that we had to take a detour off of America First to do this war. He said it's over. It's not a war.
He
it is
has
a war.
gotten
We won
the gas
war, but
prices
still,
down.
Gas
What are you
prices have
talking
gone
about?
up since we started the war.
Yes,
So,
gas prices went up when we started the war due to market speculation.
so Trump started
I
a war,
agree.
and now gas prices are higher. That's
Yeah,
a
but
fact.
you're only comparing Trump to Trump. And if you're going to compare him to
I'm
Biden,
comparing,
gas is
Trump,
still
I'm
cheaper
comparing
than the
this
Democrats.
administration to this administration.
Exactly.
Gas prices have gone up since he started this war.
Yes.
In a democracy that uses politics as a political football, I mean, you would have to compare administrations.
And if
Maybe in a dictatorship, you can compare the 40-year administration to the 40-year administration.
you follow Trump's plan, gas prices are likely going to bottom out because he has control of
I
over
hope.
oil there,
That's a nice
control
hope.
over oil in Venezuela.
That's a nice
He has
hope.
control over all of it.
Venezuela oil won't be ready for probably months.
But we still have control of it. What did I say? In the future, it'll go down.
We'll see.
Why?
I hope
The
that's the
speculators
case.
say
I hope
same
that's the
thing.
case, but that's not the case right now. And Americans are struggling financially, and now here we are in another war in the Middle East, and we're sick of it.
Are you going
We're
to
sick
blame?
of it.
Are you going to blame market speculators?
I'm going to blame Trump for getting us into another war on Israel's behalf. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And in a different conversation that wasn't a debate, Andrew Wilson would go, yeah, this is a debate.
I am going to blame Trump for
Okay.
that. He did that.
So help me out here. Can you tell me all of the downsides of Donald Trump killing pedophiles?
Oh, boy.
Um,
So this is what I like. Not a very good argument, but this is like, but how else would you defend Trump, right? He's pulling out all the arguments he can to try to defend Trump as much as possible, to say that Trump isn't as bad as you're making him seem. This is a tough argument, fellas.
First of all, do you know every single person? Were those schoolgirls pedophiles?
It's institutionalized in the Iranian
Just no.
Constitution.
We're the 200
Here we go. Are we ready for the bomb to be dropped?
schoolgirls pedophiles.
I want to make sure that they're alive so they get raped. But
No! That, fellas, is one of the most rhetorically defective things I have ever heard. Let's do it again. And he laughed, and he quickly moved along, which was a very good move. Would you rather they're alive so they can get raped? Comedically is an incredible line. However, in a morally loaded debate, I would not recommend that. I would never have the courage to say that. That's actually why I'm afraid of debating, because I would say something like that. I still can't believe he said it. As soon as I heard that, I went, that ain't going to go over well.
First of all, do you know every single person? Were those schoolgirls pedophiles?
it's institutionalized in the Iranian
Just no.
Constitution.
We're the 200 schoolgirls pedophiles.
I want to make sure that they're alive so they get raped. But that aside, no, of course not. But there's going to be deaths inside of a war.
Okay. So it is a war.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't a war.
Does he need
I'm not going to
congressional
quibble
approval?
over the word, even though there's no ground invasion, there's no boots on the ground, there's none of that. I just want to know, how is the global interest served? You're so concerned about pedophiles. He killed one of the most major ones who's ever existed since the late 1970s.
Well, he was friends with
He
Epstein.
put it
He's probably
inside of
bigger,
the
but-
Constitution of Iran that you can marry 9-year-old girls, dude. And by the way, Khomeini,
That's good.
Khomeini,
So-
hang on, almost done. Khomeini was married to a 15-year-old. Perhaps by the lunar cycle could have been 14.
And also, I mean, that's not why Trump is doing that, right? But then Andrew Wilson would respond with, well, but that's the consequential effect of it.
His son was married to a 14 or 15-year-old. A lot of his high command were married to children as well. Trump killed all of them without a single boot on the ground.
Great. And I'm sure after we've killed thousands of Iranians, including young schoolgirls and the entire
Pedophiles.
family, I'm sure that the Iranians are going to be less radicalized because of that. So I'm not
Radicalized? What do
I'm
you
not
mean?
mad
How do you
at
get more
Iranians
radicalized
dying.
than marrying children, dude?
What do you think they're going
What
to
are you
stop?
talking about?
You think they're going to stop?
Wyatt, brutal line, okay? It slid right out. That was possibly, see, and that's the thing. He's used to be very much being in debate mode, very attacking against leftists. I think he was still in that mode with somebody on his side, so it was very unsavory. I think he needed to adjust his energy for this debate, and it would have helped him get less backlash.
No, well, I'm just saying, how do you get more radical? You're like, oh, the Iranians are going to get more radicalized than marrying kids?
Well,
Like
let's
all
see,
the
how many
United
times-
States blowing up the pedophiles is going to really make them
How
mad.
many countries has Iran been bombing this year?
Well, Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. You agree
And
with
is
that?
Israel a state sponsor of terrorism?
I think that Israel's done many terrorist
Is
actions.
America a state sponsor of terrorism?
I don't think America generally is a state sponsor of terrorism.
Okay,
no.
well, in the Obama administration, it's very well known we were arming moderate rebels that turned into
In
ISIS
American
and turned into
interests, yes,
ISIL.
that's
So,
correct.
so America backs these proxy groups. The CIA backs these proxy
But that
groups
was
all
due to
over the
Bush
planet.
doctrine. Most of
And
that
now
was due
Trump
to-
isn't. Now Trump is Bush.
Trump has win. Where's the forever war?
We're in the Middle East.
Not a single boot on the ground.
We've been in the Middle East the
Not-
majority of Trump's
Is there a
administration.
single boot on the ground in Iran?
We have been at a war
Answer
in
the question,
Iran
bro.
since.
Is there a
yes,
single boot?
yes.
Okay, where?
That's like
Where?
all over the Middle East. We got boots on the
No,
ground.
in
all over.
Iran.
We
In
got
Iran.
boots on the ground.
Where's our
in the
invasionary
strait?
force?
We got people in the strait. We're talking about going to Kard Island.
Oh, we had 7,000 people there, and now there's 10,000 people there. Where's the big invasionary force to take over Iran?
So okay,
Where's
fine,
that?
I'll tell you what.
Where's
if,
that?
If they do go into Iran, what will you say?
Yeah.
Now you see, like, using an antagonistic tone in this situation, not rhetorically effective, right? When there's people on the right that don't agree with you, boy, oh boy. The condescension and backhandedness really shines through when you're not agreeing with Andrew Wilson.
Well, at that point, I'm done.
Okay, fair enough.
It is the case.
Fair enough.
I've drawn the line for myself that if there's a ground invasion in Iran, that would be a continuation.
What about casualties?
Hang on. That would be a continuation of the Bush policies.
What about casualties?
Hang on. Let me finish the point, and I'll get to casualties too. If it's the case that there's a mass ground invasion of Iran, then yeah, I would have full support then, because that would be a continuation of Bush forever war doctrine. However, limited strikes like what we saw in Venezuela, or 6 to 8 weeks, which is what we're seeing right now, that's not enough to pull my support from this president, especially with all of his success.
You see, back in my day, you had an argument when I was in the Proud Boys, okay? this is 2017, so I was much more lefty, and I was like, I forget what the debate was about the Second Amendment, and I was like, does it really protect you from the government? 2 hours, all right. Six proud boys against little old Ardy, all right. 2 hours, really get into a heated debate, shook hands, drank after. I'm just used to this, right? They're on the same team. And so they shook hands, and they're not thinking about this anymore. They're off doing whatever content now. So, yeah, that's how I view this.
Domestic policy, even if I grant you, and I'm not a fan of the war, I'm not an advocate of it, but even if I grant it that it's the worst thing he could have possibly done, it's not going to change the fact he's been a successful president. His domestic policies alone in eliminating crime and mass migration.
That's a great question. What kind of proud boy were you? A juggalo proud boy. I was a unicorn.
And being a net negative, that's what people wanted more than anything. It wasn't just the forever wars. It was.
I think that's actually true in terms of lore. I think I was a proud boy, and I went to the gathering of the juggalos in the same year.
The mass migration. That's what Trump always harped on. And he's been after it and after it and after it. And he did deploy the National Guard to protect these various centers in these cities while ICE was removing these people from the nation. Democrats did everything that they could do to stop him, including court cases, terrorism against them, and everything else in between. So it's like all of those show me that the guy's very successful, even if I grant it to you how bad Iran is.
Well, I think that they made a major blunder on the deportations because now they're basically stopping them. They should have gone after the Democrats first. Quite frankly, they should have been arresting Democrats for treason. Alejandro Mayorkas.
You're never getting these. Sure, they should. Rhetorically, people like hearing that. Pragmatically, it's not going to happen.
This should have been the first arrest. He should have been hauled in front of Congress. And you're a little too late going after the SPLC, in my opinion, which is now being funny enough. It's actually being directed at the right. They're now using this SPLC thing to claim that anybody.
You can't control what they're going to do when you. Yeah, obviously, it's an institution that's been around for fucking generations.
That's a dissident on the right is paid for by leftists and needs to be censored. That seems to be the theme with that. But they should have gone after all of these groups right out of the gate.
This is great advice. I think Andrew should have conceded more. Yes, he's treating it like it's hostile territory when he's playing an away game with his position. That is my biggest criticism. Would be to Andrew Wilson.
Andrew, they should have gone after all the Catholic charity groups, all the Jewish charity groups, all these groups all along the Rio Grande, all of these groups on the southern border, all the Democrats that brought him in, all the Biden administration that brought him in, all of them should have been hauled to jail.
Yeah,
and they weren't.
Except they have due process, Owen.
And what process have they started?
So hang on.
They haven't even started the process.
So how do you know the SPLC?
Because there's no results.
Tell me, how long were you aware of the SPLC investigation?
What are the charges? They're all
hang on. Let's walk through this. When were you aware of the SPLC investigation? When they released it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so when they released it. You're not aware of what the Trump Justice Department is investigating or not investigating.
Show me the evidence.
He said
You're the one who wants to talk about. There's no evidence of your claim. Lack of evidence.
I don't agree with this. So conceding is losing. Why even show up? No. You don't have to concede the entire argument. You can concede when they're making good points. And then, I mean, Andrew Wilson does this all the time with lefties. He goes, I'll concede your point. I don't even agree with it, but let's say what you're saying is true. He makes concessions in debates all the time. So concessions here would have helped him a lot, I think.
Evidence, lack of claim.
Hang on. He said multiple times that he wants to bring James Comey up on charges, right? He said multiple times that he wants to go after these people.
Those charges got dropped.
Instructing his Justice Department to investigate these things. We're finally starting to see the fruit. My evidence is we're finally seeing the fruit with the SPLC. I'm guaranteeing you that there's going to be other organizations which are indicted for various things like this. This is exactly what it is that you said that you wanted. It's at least a step in the right direction.
They've only been charged for financial crimes. They need to be charged for
treason. So was Al Capone.
They need to be charged for treason.
Yeah, Al Capone was not charged for his mob hits or for bootlegging.
You're not comparing Al Capone to 15 million invasion of this country.
It's the case that you go to jail for 15.
Al Capone is more of an American than Mayorkas.
If you go to jail for 15 years for the crime of murder, or to jail for 15 years for the crime of for some type of financial fraud, you can prove the one but not the other. Which one would you go after?
I would go for it all. That's what the feds do. That's what they did to me.
No, you wouldn't. If you could prove one but not the other, you would go after the one you could prove.
No, they always overcharge so they can get you a plea and get their incarceration rate, get their conviction rate. I would know. I've been through it before.
Sure.
Regardless, we're talking about almost 2 years into this administration and no deep state arrests. None.
Right. These are big dreams. Exactly. So he's saying things that people want to hear, but they're never going to happen. And then we have Andrew Wilson saying things that people don't want to hear, but are probably more likely to happen.
Who do you want to see arrested?
I just told you Mayorkas. There's one. How about the Obama administration? How about John Brennan? How about James Cleveland? How about James Comey?
Tell me what your process would be to arrest them.
Okay. First of all, Dan Bongino, who was the deputy director at the FBI, spent 8 years writing books and doing a podcast all about arresting these people. He gets in there and does none of it.
Yeah,
So
the
did
same
he,
Dan Bongino who talked about what was going on in the Epstein files ad nauseum, how none of it made
and then
sense.
changed his mind.
Because he went in and saw. Here's what's funny. Why would anybody ever want to go work for the Trump administration from the private sector, especially somebody like Dan Bongino, if it's the case that he goes in, looks at the evidence, reviews it, and says, actually, I got this wrong, and you guys...
Okay, yeah. Do we really think Dan Bongino went in there, saw the evidence, and went, oops, got it wrong, and then came back? I mean, our intuitions do not lead us in that direction. He's trying. The man's trying. He's in a difficult position. That one didn't really fly with me either.
fucking crucify him for it. You crucify him for saying, look, I got this wrong. And it's like, why would anybody ever want to go work for the Trump administration if that's going to be the case, Owen?
Imagine that. You give us a little peek into what's going on in the Epstein files, and it makes people even more aware and more suspicious, and then you say there's no there there. If anything...
Yeah. I mean, you really alienated your own side when you do that, right? Delete $5. Thank you. This would have been better as a discussion than a debate. No sides would have been taken with this. I mean, I like it as a debate because it forces you to really amplify a position where in a discussion there's more concessions. And again, I would say this shouldn't have been a debate if they were fighting with each other after and had bad blood. They have good blood after, so as long as it ends amicably, I think the debates are good. It's just kind of rare to have on the right nowadays, I think. Asher, $5. Thank you. Owen's best argument here is Trump can't anticipate market speculators. I have no clue why he hasn't made it. Yeah. Hindsight is 2020 to the chickens. $5. Thank you. How is comparing Trump to Trump a bad comparison? He set his own goals and objectives and is short, put the fries in the bag. That's every president in history. Personally, I don't think it's a good criticism when it's a criticism that applies to everyone. I would, if it's a criticism, it needs to be a unique criticism to that person. You can say that about every president that's ever existed, which I think would be the issue in a debate. C-Dog, $10. Thank you. If Lionheart Van Dam wore a wig, that was actually Hard Target Van Dam, but thank you. These men don't need to fight baldness. They have achieved complete and total victory over it. They are not gay. Thank you very much for lightening the mood. It's a very daring debate that I'm covering. King Solo Wings, $10. Thank you so much, my dude. This was fun. I think it's still going. Thank you. Gypsy Hollow, $2. How do you do it? You just do it. You just get, well, I mean, not in a democracy, you can't do anything. In a dictatorship, authoritarian, totalitarian rule, you get shit done real quick.
Our peek at the Epstein files showed us that there is something serious there. Very serious.
You've never, look, not only have you never provided any evidence for that, but your other problem is you didn't actually answer my question. What incentivization would like, let's say Trump drafted you to go to his administration to investigate these things, and you went in good faith and you did. And you came back and you were like, look, I took a look at all this evidence and I was wrong about this. And then all of your friends and cohorts and everybody else who was...
I know, Andrew, what you're saying is technically possible, okay? Does anyone on the right really feel like that about Dan Bongino, where it's like, oops, made a mistake, saw all the evidence, nothing there? Can we prove it? No. Source? No. Intuitively, we don't believe it. And intuitively, I don't think we should believe it. But I don't know what else you can say to fully defend all these positions to defend Trump. So the man's swinging for the fences.
Cheering you on, fucking crucified you for it.
You know what, Andrew? It's funny that you say that because that's literally happening to me right now.
From who?
That's literally happening from this new MAGA right cult.
Who?
I already did this. I already put my time in.
Yeah,
I was
who's
arrested.
crucifying
Hold on
you
a second.
for it?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. For four different times, I was arrested for supporting Trump. Okay. Now I
All
can,
incorrect, by the way.
Now, you like Trump. I don't like Trump. Now, beyond the point, I already went through that crucible. I already put my face, my name, my neck out there, and it's not even that I necessarily did it for Trump. I did it for the truth because I believed Trump was innocent and I wanted to support
But
it.
how
So
are you
I've
being
already been through that.
crucified?
I have MAGA people putting me on lists. I have
What
MAGA
list?
people doxing me. I have MAGA people sending people to my house. I have Laura.
Rhetorically, Owen's issue is gish galloping. I got this. MAGA, and he's saying MAGA people, which is kind of lefty coded. MAGA people, like, who are you talking about?
Umer in my box all day telling me she's telling Trump
That's-
to
hang
post
on.
negatively
That
about
was
me.
typified.
Trump posted something about me. He told me to shut the fuck up. So I got arrested 4 times for this guy, spent months in prison for this guy, did everything for this guy, censored, lawsuit, everything, lost all my social media, kept supporting him. And then what is the one recognition I get from him? Fuck you, shut up. I don't even care. I did it because it's the truth. And now the truth is this administration has turned against us. MAGA has now been weaponized against us. And Trump is now the very globalist that we were supposed to get out of the White House.
This is ironic.
I mean, we feel that that's unequivocally true, right? This would be a good time for a small concession before he says something. Let's see how he engages.
Ironically hilarious. So the
Unironically hilarious after an applause break, too. This should be good.
the first thing that you claim, you say, hey, look, I was crucified for my support of Donald Trump by Democrats. Do you agree? It's by Democrats.
Well, actually, first it was by Republicans because we were going up against.
It's never Trumpers.
Yeah.
Like you are right now.
No, I'm not a
So
never Trumper.
anyway,
I voted for him 3 times.
What happened is, well, and now you're like, oh, he's the worst thing ever.
No, I'm
when
saying
you're talking about
he's failed. This
yeah,
administration
he hasn't failed. And when you're talking about this, Democrats.
And my streaming co-host News Fist is here. Fist, just so you know, somebody during my stream plugged your video. So I don't know how much money you paid him to do that, but it paid off.
Democrats were the ones who persecuted you. Democrats were the ones who threw you in jail. They were the ones who didn't want to give you a fair trial. Me and my wife, we advocated for the release of J6ers everywhere that we possibly could, yourself included.
And I will give Trump that. That is the biggest victory.
Yeah,
I would never
huge
regret voting
victory
for Trump because he did that.
Yeah,
Never.
huge victory. Okay. But not only that, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. When you're talking about your supposed crucifixion now by the right, Trump hasn't shut down your channels. He hasn't done any of that. Under Biden, that was a sure thing.
Well, let's
to
not
have
be
happened.
so sure that's not going to happen soon.
You say gonna, hasn't though. Okay, under Biden, it was.
Isn't that the whole point? Is
under-
none of this stuff has happened under Trump, and you're
Biden-
saying, oh, but it could.
Hang
It's
on,
like,
under
that's the point.
Biden, no, it's not. Under Biden, it would have for sure. He was working with Facebook and these other groups in order to shut
Very true. So this is a good response.
down people who had podcasts. You have a voice right now. That's true. The president of the United States might have told you to shut the fuck up, but he still gave you a platform. Tell him to shut his fucking mouth.
True.
That's the distinction.
No, Trump did not. That's the First Amendment. That is the First Amendment. It was given to us by the
Well,
founding
Biden
fathers.
didn't give a
Oh, yeah. This, with force doctrine on Andrew Wilson's brain,
That's the distinction.
No, Trump.
when Owen Shroyer appeals to the First Amendment, look at Andrew Wilson's face.
Did not. That's the First Amendment.
He says First Amendment, and Andrew Wilson's thinking, that doesn't mean fucking anything, dude. When there's a different administration at the helm, that doesn't mean shit. Look at his reaction.
That is the First Amendment. It was given to us by the.
he's like, oh, you think the piece of paper protects you?
founding
Yeah, dude. Oh, since the Constitution says it, well, I guess that means we're protected. Oh, I can feel his energy in that one.
Biden didn't give a fuck about the First Amendment.
And
Because he
neither
was
does
working with the
Trump.
tech companies
And
to
neither
shut
does
you
Trump.
down.
Trump
so-
doesn't care either. They'll censor us
Okay.
under Trump. They already
Yeah,
did. He
where?
did nothing.
Where?
What are you talking? When did I get censored? What year?
No, the Trump administration.
I was censored under Trump 1. I was censored from
Show me
2018
what
to
policy
2022.
of Trump's administration censored you. What?
What did he do for it? What did he do to end the
That's
censorship?
different. That's you got to make a distinction.
No, no, no.
here.
You're the one
If
making
it's the
claims
case-
that Trump did something
Yes,
for me.
he did.
I'm not asking Trump to do anything
did.
for me. I'm saying that
He
we had
instructed his
censorship under
Department of
Trump,
Justice to stop putting pressure on Facebook and these other groups for censorship. He promised he
but
would
that
do
is
that.
happening. That's why
did
he
do
just
it.
that's why he just brokered the deal to give the Ellisons everything so that they can censor the internet in favor of this war and foreign policy that's unpopular.
Where's that happening?
Right now, it just
Where?
happened with TikTok. It just happened with Paramount.
No, TikTok, they talk about the war constantly.
Ellison
I know.
and
I'm on
Oracle-
TikTok arguing with them constantly.
Ellison and Oracle are about to have all these database.
Any other man that says I would know I'm on TikTok would be creepy. Andrew Wilson cleans up. Going on doing his TikTok invasions, though.
They're going to sell all of
in
all
the
private
future
information.
soon. But you've been wrong about futures before. And by the way,
Oh,
I'm
wait a
talking
second.
about
Hold
right
on.
now.
Okay, hold on a second.
I'm talking about
Hold
right
In Owen's defense, Owen is just butthurt. He feels daddy abandoned him. Trump did abandon his base, 100%. Owen is very justified in his frustration, especially doing not a ton of time, but some time for Jan 6th.
Hold on a second. When
I'm holding.
when Doge ended,
Yeah.
and then Musk called the Epstein files a hoax, and then struck Iran, I was called a panican. I was called a panican because I knew it meant we were getting into a war with Iran and a regime change war with Iran. I was called a panican. I was called a panican because if he
Yep, this is when Trump was turning on his base. You're a panicking, trust the plan.
did this, the MAGA coalition would be destroyed. And I was called a panican because I said if he does this, we're going to lose the midterms.
also made
And now
some-
all three things of those have happened.
Except
every
You were
single
also wrong
one.
about Venezuela.
What was I wrong about
So
Venezuela?
In Venezuela, you said that there's a good chance there that we're going to be bogged down on a war.
Never said that.
You did too.
No, I
you
did
said it
not.
on your show. Yes, you
No,
did.
I did not.
You said there's a good shot there. You were in the debate when you said it, in fact, with a caller. It's a good shot there would be.
Sees the great $5. Thank you so much. This is a weird debate. I agree more with Owen on this topic. I think Andrew made stronger arguments, but Owen had the optical win. What a clear-minded and sensible opinion to have.
Be bogged down as well.
When did,
So
what are you
that's what's
talking
funny
about?
to me. It's like every time I dive in to your view, it's always, well, down the road, he's going to do these bad things. Down the road, he's going to do this. Trump's administration hasn't censored you. Trump's administration didn't jail you. Trump's administration didn't do any of that. You just gave him credit for getting you released. And not only that,
Now, this is true. The Trump administration can't control what the NGOs do.
we're talking about the economics of this thing. We diverted into this, which is fine. I think that speech is something that we need to debate about. But when we're talking about the economics, you still haven't actually told us how it is that you
Yeah. What about who do you think you're talking to, Master Shake? What about the anti-Semitisms are? Yeah. Yep. Very understandable to turn your back on Trump. Again, Andrew Wilson has generations that he's planning to go forward in this country. So he knows that we cannot have the Democrats in control at all. Me and him feel he's really one of the only people I've heard say, he said on trigonometry, I fucking hate leftists. And that's like what's been driving me for so long. Turns out it was the moose, but I know that feeling of like the left cannot be in control. So that's really what he's coming from. He's got a stake in the country. He knows it has to be right wing, even if it's a bastardized, muified version of it.
You, Owen Shroyer, are going to make an offset for net negative migration without prices going up. There's going to be an
Cut taxes.
That's an adjustment period.
You can cut taxes in a year.
Do you think that prices are
right? So there's going to be an economic adjustment period if you're deporting a bunch of people. Prices are going to go up. So obviously prices are going to be up right now if you just deported a bunch of people. Also, this is like the first year of the presidency. I'm really not looking forward to the next 3 years.
going to immediately decrease because you cut taxes?
Prices don't have to decrease. You have more money in your wallet. You have more money in your bank account. You're not paying it to the government.
Again, those are adjustment periods that are incremental. It would be so if you cut taxes
Takes 1 year.
immediately.
Takes 1
right?
year.
And by the way, Trump doesn't unilaterally have the power to do that. He doesn't unilaterally have the power to just cut taxes. That has to go through Congress. And so this idea that you have, one thing he did do, and he did do well unilaterally with his executive orders, was with migration. And he did get us to the point where we're at a net negative of migration. Who would ever have given us that? Who out of anybody in the field would ever have given us net negative migration?
If Trump has a positive, it's definitely on the migration issue, but it's not perfect. He's still giving Chinese students, he's still letting Chinese students into these universities to save their ass. He's still letting
a
the
50%
H-1B
decrease of the H-1Bs, but Cato Institute recently said, in fact, cut down 136,000, 50% of the H-1Bs eliminated under Trump's policy. So yeah, it's true. Chinese immigrants can still come in and study.
This is the issue of defining what is a success. Obviously, it's never going to be enough. You want them all to be gone would be a success, but then there would be something else that you don't agree with. So you would have to compare it to what the alternative would be and has been.
H-1B visas, 50% less of them. That's correct.
So don't you think that there should be an adjustment period, just like you said with taxes? Shouldn't there be an adjustment period for hiring Americans? Because what happened was that the farmers, agriculture, all these big businesses said...
He's not citing Cato because he agrees with them. He's citing that he doesn't... This is like when I use leftist sources against the left. He's citing Cato, and as he said, because they're even pro-immigration and they're making these concessions. So he's not citing them as an objective source of information, but in fact, they typically... disagree with what he wants, and they're still agreeing with his prescription or with what's happening.
Trump, we have to have this cheap migrant labor.
That's correct, yes.
And so he caved and he let the donors get what they want. That's what Trump does.
That's what's
this
funny.
is a donor class administration.
In this case, not only did he not cave, but the opposite happened.
What are you talking about? He's doing mass deportations?
No. He gave subsidies. And yes, there has not only has there been big time deportations, but it's border crossings. It's just new ones even coming in versus self-deporting is an amazing feature at a net negative. Same with immigration internationally, which means legal immigration. So yeah, he did.
Now, sure, these things are good. It is very overshadowed by Trump teaming with the globalists, quote unquote, with the elites, right? Turning on Alex Jones, turning on people that helped him, get to where he is. And, it's been flipped. Ben Shapiro was never Trump. Mark Levin was never Trump. And now those guys are like the face of MAGA. So it is good that Andrew Wilson is reminding us of these things, right? However, the dark and stormy clouds ahead is what it looks like.
Deal with them with subsidies. That was designed to keep the prices down. But again, if we follow your policy, which would be mine, you want them all out, right? I want all the Mexicans who are working illegally out of here.
I would say you can't, there's too many, but I would say you have to do at least the 15 that came in under Biden.
Well, you want to get rid of, I want them all gone. I want all the illegal immigrants gone.
And then look at this. He goes, how about we get rid of all of them?
Don't you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, great. So if we get all the illegal immigrants out of California.
But Trump's not doing that.
Hang on. If we get all the illegal.
If we remove 15 million illegal immigrants, what does that do to the economy?
Immigrants out of California.
What we should do, we have to replace them. We need to replace them with Europeans that want to. We need to replace them with people like Newsfist who want to get the fuck out of Europe. Is what we should do. If that, I would love to see a candidate that recommends that. That would be incredible. It would be like a foreign exchange program.
California tomorrow, right? What happens to the price of produce? Does it go up?
Well, we
or
need
down?
an adjustment time, Andrew.
Hey, that's my whole point. We would need an adjustment time.
So we
Owen.
both agree that mass deportations is a failure of the administration.
What you're dealing with right now is an adjustment time due to the. How is net negative migration a failure?
We're not.
Why do they need to be replaced? There's far too many people in this country. This country can hold a lot of people. There's too many people in this country as turmoil is happening. If things were peaceful, there's a lot of room for a lot of people. But this is the question that I have, right? What is step 2? Step 1, remove 15 million illegal immigrants. Step 2, what does that do to the economy and those jobs and goods and services? What is the effect of that? This is where a healthy debate comes into play.
Getting mass deportations.
Yeah, you don't have to massively deport people who aren't coming in, dude. You don't have to.
They're already here.
Yes, and by the way, he's going after the criminal element of those people first, which he's been doing. There's a net negative.
Would I be a decent moderator for two people debating on the right? I feel very even in what I'm saying right now.
Of them crossing into the border. If you had said day one with any Republican administration, we'd have only 1,000 border crossings a day versus 46,000 border crossings a day, you'd say it's the biggest fucking success anybody had ever seen.
How about this?
Somehow with Trump, though, Trump gets exactly that done day one.
No.
And Owen goes, well, what have you done for me lately?
What is the number? What is the number that you would be happy with of deportations for Trump's 4 years?
Overall number?
Yeah.
Probably I would want to see like happy with, you said, versus what would be optimal that I'd want to see.
Let's put a reasonable but good expectation number.
I mean, I would be happy if it was the case that we had no new immigrants coming in. I think that's a massive
Well, we
success.
agree that Trump is at a success. Okay. Let me answer my own question, then you can respond.
Yeah.
I think if Trump doesn't deport at least 15 million people, which seems like an impossibility, but they came here, we can get them out. There's strategies to do it.
Yeah.
I think 15 million. If it's less than that, I think we got a problem.
Well, the entirety of the basis for the 15 million number, you would agree with me, there's way more than 15 million illegal
Probably like
immigrants
40, maybe.
or 50.
Yeah.
Or 50 million. How about 50 million? What if we took that number and tripled it? Dark Thorane's $2. Ultimately, Andrew is Zionist, fell for it again, Soyam. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. I mean, you know, well then what's the alternative? Is to just move Spurg? I mean, yeah. So everything goes out the window when he's in a debate, taking a position of defending Trump, which is difficult. Sea Dog Knight, $10, thank you. I think the best Van Damme movie is Universal Soldier. Time Cop is also on point. However, if I'm being honest, Lionheart is my favorite. It's such a shame that you would say that. The correct answer is Cyborg from 1989 is the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I'll have a debate on that. I don't debate a whole lot, but I'll fucking debate that movie. Steven, what a funny picture. $2. People just want to complain and not get involved. It's nuanced. It's not even that it's necessarily complicated. It's everything is trade-offs.
It's very high.
Yeah.
So if it is the case that it's very high that we have this amount of illegals that are here, that's going to take a long time. And Trump has Trump has been hampered. He was moving towards this. He's been hampered in the courts. Again, 3 times the amount of injunctions any other president when it comes to illegal immigration. And he's trying to unilaterally do this because Congress isn't working with him. He's hamstrung at every level. He's using executive orders to push that through. And it's been wildly successful with the tools that he has. You have to say that that's successful. A net negative migration.
I've said that that's the one success, but
that's the big success.
I just don't think that it's going to be where it needs to be. I think that he's caved on the mass deportations. And at the end of the day,
this is fair. It's slowing down. It doesn't look like it's going to continue.
Much as both of us would like to see every single illegal immigrant deported, I think that
but if they are, the prices are going to go up, right?
I think that you can negate that by not getting them into another war in the Middle East.
The war in the Middle East, are you kidding me? You think that that's the budget buster in comparison?
Absolutely. He's asking for
entitlements?
$1.5 trillion in the next defense budget.
Nothing.
We pay $1 trillion in interest on our debt.
Do you know what our entitlements are in comparison to military spending?
Cut them
that's
all.
my whole point. When we're talking about
Now, this is a common Andrew Wilson talking point where the entitlements do outweigh the military spending.
entitlements, the number one spending, not military. That's one.
I think
the second,
I think interest is about to take entitlements.
Well, maybe, but the number one spending right now is entitlements. It's 3 times higher than military spending. 3 times higher. Most of those entitlements are coming in because of illegal immigration and mass migration. You know this. I've heard you say it yourself.
I have a zero tolerance for any welfare.
Yeah, I've heard you say it yourself. So if that's the case, you're not going to be able to do this without a transitory period where prices go up.
It's been
when
a
you
year.
see all of these jobs. First of all, real wage growth have gone up 1.3% because jobs are finally going to Americans.
The economy's bad. You can throw numbers every day. The economy is bad. More Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Are real wages up or down?
Down.
Okay, so how far down are they?
They're as down as they've ever been.
They're as down as they've ever been, ladies and gentlemen.
Anybody can cook these numbers.
These
Biden
wages are
administration-
as down as they've ever been. No, the wages are up.
Are you going
to
to tell Americans that they're doing good financially?
I didn't say there's not room for improvement. We're talking about whether or not Trump is successful. I think that Americans
Eggs have significantly decreased in price. Used cars have not really gone down, but at least eggs are a lot cheaper than they were.
would be doing worse if real wages were net negative like they were under Biden.
This is
Yes,
where we-
and that real wages have gone up 1.3%. It's a major thing.
And
We're
cost
at
of living
the-
has gone up 2.3%.
And guess what? That'll go down when you get rid of mass migration
We're at
and immigrants.
the conclusion of
Time for the Q&A. I'm going to speed this up, fellas. I do have to pee, but I'm going to hold it because I was assured by my mother that I am a big boy. Two things I want to just call out real quick.
Has been one promise, but that's all negated by a 7-week war.
Andrew Wilson, I first learned about the Orthodox Church from you, and my family and I were just baptized into the church this past Christmas. Christ is risen.
Total ortho destruction. And again,
the global market, and that hurts us for maybe a year, and we can start producing steel. We can start bringing some manufacturing back, bringing Main Street back. That would be something that I would say, okay, Americans would believe in that cause, but the whole thing's been turned over by the Supreme Court now. So.
Hey guys, thank you for introducing me into orthodoxy.
You're welcome.
How
many people have I introduced
preacher
to
up here.
orthodoxy?
Bring out the holy water. Come on.
it's incredible, fellas. People just come up and say, say whatever you want about Andrew Wilson. No one's coming up to Owen Shroyer and saying, you converted me to this denomination of Christianity. Mind you, the man barely even, I wouldn't even say he preaches. I didn't say that it comes up that often. Let's see these two fellows agree on tariffs.
Terms if you do that. I think you save face with everything. If you come out tomorrow and you say we're done in the Middle East and we're bringing all of our troops home, I think you sweep the midterms.
This is mainly for both of y'all. I just want to ask, how can we get our economy to rebound after the negative effects of the tariffs, especially on American manufacturing workers? I myself actually work at a industrial plant that produces grinding wheels for brakes. And our business, we had to increase prices a lot because costs of raw materials went up a lot because it was harder to import them because all the chromium and manganese comes from China.
Sure.
So I'm wondering, what is y'all's stance on how we could get the economy back and get the prices back down?
Well, I was a big fan and still am of tariffs. What the tariffs were used for, people get it wrong all the time. They think that it was just willy-nilly. It wasn't. What happens is if you have the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, so this means that these are tax-free imports and exports. So if Canada imports a bunch of stuff from China, who we have a 25% tariff on, and then just labels it Canada.
I mean, to be fair, he talks about orthodoxy all the time. I mainly see his debates. So in fairness, that's where I was coming from saying that.
Don't they avoid any of our tariffs, the Chinese? Yes. So what that is it's closing back doors by putting tariffs on westernized nations. And there's no possible way, by the way, for you to raise revenue in the United States. You only have two ways to do it: taxes or tariffs. So Harris's idea was that she was going to get rid of the corporate tax breaks, and that was going to drastically increase prices because it has to. Trump's idea was that he was going to fight a tariff war with potential future enemies and people who are adversaries with us on the global stage now. You'd pick your poison. Which one would you want to see?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I think Andrew and I would probably agree with most these issues. I'm a little concerned about that you talk about your company specifically is so reliant on China. This is something, whether it's Trump or the next president.
They have no problem agreeing with each other during the Q&A.
Or Biden, all of our presidents have been put into a deep ditch because our Congress has sold us out to mostly West Asia, China. That's why everything is made over there. So now we're basically reliant. These minerals you're talking about, rare earth minerals, we're basically reliant. Pharmaceuticals, we're extremely reliant.
Just wanted to show you that people are more mad at Andrew Wilson than Owen Shroyer is mad at him. Let's get the closing statements in here.
Bad.
we have to jump in.
Basically, whatever the hell he wants with them, unless there's an act of Congress. Where is that at?
That would have been a great thumbnail.
We have to jump into the closings. So
It
if you
failed,
have
didn't it?
we're going to start with Andrew, of course, and then we'll follow up with Owen. Andrew, the floor is all yours for your 3-minute closing.
Yeah, so a whole bunch of things to cover as we're going over the span of this debate. I know that we got caught on the Epstein stuff, but the reason that was important to get caught on is because it's the hammer and bludgeon that the left wing has been using to defame Trump now ever since the debacle of the Epstein file release, which was a debacle.
Yes, so his main contention is that this is playing directly into the hand of the left by going, see, even the right thinks it's about Trump.
100%. I'm not going to even bother trying to defend it. It was a debacle the way that was released.
Not even trying to defend it.
Labeling this guy a pedophile, and that's what they label him, and labeling him as a protector of pedophiles, all that's done is destroy him in the public psyche. And when you see the alt-right, maybe not all alt-righters, I'm
Yes, he's a great. Andrew and Owen probably had a beer after this. Yeah, they like chatted up at the end.
Generalizing here a little bit, but when you see right-wingers who also try to bludgeon him with the same thing, they're doing the Democrats' work for them. Democrats never gave a shit about the Epstein files. Nothing was ever released under any Democrat.
Did I misspeak? Is orthodoxy not a denomination?
President. In fact, the sweetheart deals to Costa, as we pointed out, was done under Obama. They've never cared about it. They use it as a bludgeon against the guy, and Republicans go right along with it. Basically, they're using that as a position to try to sweep the midterms. And that's exactly what's probably going to happen. And you're going to be really mad when they do, because you're going to remember what it was like living under Democrats. It sucks. Now, that's why that was so important. And I asked Owen about evidences, and of course, he didn't fucking have any. The evidence is always, they didn't give us enough evidence. Okay, but what about the fact that what we do have? What about the redactions? Andrew, what about that? Okay, that was all done mostly by attorneys. Trump can't do much about that, right? Every time you get into the specifics of these things and these details with these people, it's no different than when I'm on TikTok arguing with them. They never have anything of substance to say on the topic, only insinuations. This is what must be happening, this and that. But they're defaming.
It does mirror leftist rhetoric, because then when they're pressed on it, and he would know, it feels very familiar to him that when he presses them on it, they don't have a lot backing their opinion, or what's the evidence, or so what should we do about it, prescriptions.
The President of the United States with this, they're bludgeoning him with it, which gives the Democrats an upper hand. That's why that was important coming into this when we're talking about the success of Donald Trump. I'd say that that's hamstringing some of that success. When it came to the domestic policies, Owen basically rolled over. I mean, he agrees with me on the net zero migration. He agreed on Trump pardoning him and all of his friends. He agreed with tariffs. He agrees with all of these various things. The only 2 points he seems to have that he really tries to hammer Trump on is just the idea of this conflict in Iran, which is only going on for 7 weeks. I'm not going to move against Trump without serious boots on the ground if he's doing limited airstrikes in this war to give ground to Democrats. That's insane. No way. I'm not doing it. The other problem is that I think I demonstrated all of these successes. Owen did not do a great job of demonstrating Trump's failures. He, in fact, agreed with me more than he didn't on most of the things that I consider to be successful. Now, if we go back just a couple of years, if I said that we would get to a point where we have net negative migration, more people leaving than coming.
This is true, and it's important to remember for people that are blackpilling that we didn't think that we would even see this happen.
In, you guys would be jumping for joy. Never thought possible. And yet here we are. That's not good enough. What's Trump done for me lately?
Thank you very much for that closing statement.
I feel like Andrew Wilson extra feels that too. What has Andrew Wilson done for me lately? It's giving me the next Own compilation kind of thing. Forgetting his actual, years-long advocacy.
The timer is set for you as well, Owen. 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
So my last comment as far as the debate here is concerned, the ultimate measuring stick for Trump's success is going to be the midterms, which you've sacrificed, that you are expecting that Republicans are going to lose. Trump is going to be on the campaign trail, and Republicans are going to still lose the midterms. And if you want to say, oh, well, this is the media, this is the Epstein stuff, Trump has been against the media through 2 election cycles and 3. He's won 3 election cycles with the media attacking him.
Trump's first term can be attributed to the media. Trump's second term, I would say it's more organic, less manufactured, that people dislike the administration.
So I don't really think that's legitimate. But I want to step back. I want to step back from the actual contents of the debate, and I want to make a general statement about why I don't view Trump's administration as a success. And that might be because my expectations were too lofty, but this is the reality of the situation as I see it, and I think as a lot of Americans see it. The debate up here was politics as usual. It seems like a lot of the stuff happening in D.C., Democrats, Republicans, it's all just politics as usual. I supported Donald Trump and voted for Donald Trump 3 times because I'm sick of the politics as usual. I'm looking for somebody to go in there and have massive reform, turn tables over, shrink the government in ways that we never thought possible. We all think Trump says treason. How many times has Trump said treason? Nobody's been tried for treason. Nobody's been arrested for treason. So I elected a reform agent. I elected a change agent. I elected somebody to get in there and not do politics as usual, but actually ram heads with the globalists, ram heads with the establishment, and completely remake this country to...
Did all of us think that Trump was going to fall short of Owen Shroyer's goal for Trump? I believe the answer is yes.
Closer to what it was founded upon, closer to the constitutional ideals, closer to self-government, closer to being independent, shrinking the government, bringing everything internally instead of sending out aid all over the country. That's what I wanted. Lofty goals, high expectations, maybe. But I think the understanding from the American people...
I think this is one of the biggest appeals for orthodoxy from the internet is... Top Catholics don't debate Jay Dyer because they say gay stuff like he's toxic. The orthos will debate with unbelievably toxic people, which makes their Christianity seem like it's the strongest. They don't push their nose up. They're not elitist. they'll roll in the mud for what they believe in. Really, digitally seems to be a massive push for the orthos.
And why we supported Trump, I don't know how much longer, I don't know how many opportunities we're going to get to save this country politically. I don't know how many other opportunities we're going to get to save this country. And I feel like if we can't do it with Trump and Bongino and Patel, if we can't do it with this team.
Also fair enough where there's been certain people where it's like, okay, this seems like a solid team. It seems like it's not, if it's not going to happen here, then it's not going to happen. Owen is super idealist, that, you know, but he says things that people want to hear. But, you know, Andrew comes back with, well, then what are we going to do about it? We're just going to arrest people. I don't think the administration is going to do that.
That's a blow. That's a blow. I don't know where we go from here. The Democrats get back in. It's going to be worse than ever. But that's what I elected from Trump. I elected a change agent. I wanted somebody to get in there and do massive reform, massive shrinking of government, beyond just Doge, arresting deep state criminals. And we're just simply not getting it. And it doesn't look like it's going that way either. And I'm just concerned. I don't know how many more election cycles our country can take before it becomes impossible to save this country politically.
Which then, of course, comes off as accelerationist rhetoric.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Please join me in giving one final applause to our speakers. Fantastic debate.
And then look at them.
Great.
Look at that. They don't give a shit.
We'll have one more announcement.
I want to take a picture outside
We'll
with
have
you.
one more announcement from Sean.
Come on, fellas. Don't get more mad than these guys. Speaking of which, fellas, I finally get to pee. And guess where I'm sending you right now? Through the magic of the internet, fellas. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching me break that down. You know, chat, pretty civilized, right? Had some things going back and forth. You know, it doesn't have to end in bloodshed, right? It could be a little reasonable. Sure, you can call him a Zionist all you want. I don't know what that's going to do for you. No matter, I'm learning this with this YouTube channel. No matter what I have said, no one gives a shit. It's what, yeah, but how do I feel in this moment about you, right? So all I'm saying is don't get more mad at Andrew Wilson than Owen Shroyer did. Don't get more mad at Owen Shroyer than Andrew Wilson did. Obviously, more of the ire is directed at Andrew Wilson, and I think it's warranted and understandable, okay? But at the end of the day, it wasn't earth-shattering, friend-ending, or anything like that. And we all know that if Owen Shroyer did really bad, we would have been making fun of his hair and attire a lot more. Fellas, time to use the magic of streaming and send you to a different place. Do-do-do-do, 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 do-do-do-do.